Sorry, chat. I feel like I have too many windows already. Let me switch the scene for a second. We were just chilling. It's just Omega right now. Nobody's with me yet, but they'll be in shortly. I'll undeafen to let them know that they're going hot when they jump in. I think the music is a little loud, so let me... Ooh, too far down. Okay, that seems a little softer. I think all our audio's outputting correctly, but like I said, I'm like... I've been here 2 seconds, and I'm already like, God, I have way too many windows. I got my paint screen for the visual. I got my notepad for the list of all the cards I need to look at. OBS obviously streaming. I'm losing my mind, chat, but we're getting started a little early. Just to drift in. We'll catch you up on some Yugist things. But today will be Parshath, or Perseus, Pashiasu, as it's called in the OCG. Bet you didn't know that. Just my headset slightly. And while we wait for people to show up, I will show to you the Master Duel ban list, as usual. It's been a month. That means it's time to laugh at them. Yeah, I started a little early. I got done with food and stuff. You know, usually we try and aim for somewhere in the 7-ish slot. 7:15, 7:30, depends. But I was taking a break for some food right away. And didn't really feel a need to kill time while I'm just sitting here waiting. Obviously, like I said, we won't begin in full because I am now waiting for the others to show up. But I got started a little early on my shoulders. Yes, don't slow me down. Okay. Vesper's been sidelined last minute by some stuff. Sidelined. I got a very stiff shoulder. But, you know, people will be here when they're here. But while we are waiting, give me 1 second, chat. Stare at the ban list for a second. Okay, sorry about that. I stood up for a second to stretch. Now I will adopt a relaxed position. But yes, this is the upcoming Master Duel ban list. It's very bad. I didn't even realize Nimble Beaver was still at 1. Like, we've had this conversation about 9 million times, chat, I think. Like, legitimately, there's a monthly ban list, like, every month in Master Duel. I feel like 10 out of 12 of those months per year, and the game's been going for, like, what, we're in the 3rd year now? This is after the 2nd year anniversary. I swear to God, like 10 out of 12 ban lists are just semi-limiting some shit that won't do anything, and putting some cards back that were at 1 to 3 that had been at 1 for like 6 months longer than they need to, despite the fact that they are updating the ban list every month. And it's terrible. I should get more into the dice event for the free gems, because there is stuff going on that I want. I want to roll packs and get things, but I've been so busy with about 9 million other things that I have not been able to do much more than pass the first stage. Also, the dice event, like, kind of sucks. I feel like I tweeted this, like, a week ago, but I was like, I feel like everybody's playing decks that are just ass. They're just miserable. But because it's Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's Master Duel, and it's all best of one, and there's, like, I don't even know how the coin flipper works. Man, you just get 6 games where you lose the coin flip, your opponent automatically goes first, and then they set 5 pass, and you're just like, well, no fucking point today. Reminds me of a conversation I had on Reddit about something else, but I was talking about the meta, where I'm like, man, I hate hand traps, actually. I feel like I've bell curved, chat, since I just get to yap about whatever. I've bell curved on hand traps. At first, when we started playing, I was like, wow, these suck. These cards don't cost you anything to use. They just end the fucking game. Then I got to a middle of, like, okay, so, like, some hand traps, like Max C, are, like, categorically annoying. But, the sign of a good deck is that you can play around or play through interaction, and it's important to have interaction going second, because otherwise your opponent just gets to do whatever they want going first, and that's no fun either. And now I'm in the bottom half of the bell curve where I'm like, I understand that we require interaction going second. I think we should design all in-archetype cards to fulfill those roles of turn 0 and build interaction on your opponent's first turn instead, because hand traps suck ass. Why do hand traps suck ass? Because I don't want to draw 3 imperm going second. Also, more importantly, I don't want to draw 3 imperm going first. Then I don't get to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I've drawn 3 imperm. And just because I'm playing 37 other cards, that still means that there is a statistical possibility. There's a non-zero chance that you're going to open a Balatro-ass hand, and you're going to be holding Perulias. I don't want to see Perulia going first. That guy sucks. He doesn't do anything. He's Max C, but fair. So, like, this is my personal curve I've come through, where it's just like, man, deck building in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is annoying sometimes. And I wish that Master Duel would do more than whatever the fuck this is. Like, finally Bonfire to 1 after, like, a year of it being out in Master Duel. That is nothing. And what's the other one? Is that OSS? I think that's Original Sinful Spoil, Snake Eye? Yeah, that's not gonna, to 1, that's not gonna do anything either. And they're putting Branded Fusion at 2. Which just encourages the people who have continued to play Branded, despite the fact that Branded Fusion has been 1, to keep playing it. And I'm like, I don't want to see them anymore. Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, I don't actually know if Master Duel will get better, because, like, I think the customer base of Master Duel fundamentally misunderstands how to get Konami's attention. They think that complaining and posting horse memes on Twitter is how they get Konami's attention. The way you get Konami to give a shit is you stop spending money on Master Duel, and you stop playing Master Duel, period. Like, if I don't know what the numbers are for the Duelist Cup, but everybody says it sucks because you got to grind it out forever. Don't do that. If you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Streamer and you stream for like 16 hours a day, literally you don't do anything but sleep and play the Duelist Cup, don't do that. The Duelist Cup will continue to get shittier that way because they think that they've got you by the short hairs. No, what you need to do is just not play it. And while I do want the free gems for whatever comes next, I don't feel much incentive to play Master Duel right now, and it's just one of those things, you know? And with them releasing dog-ass lists like this, it's like, cool, I can play unfettered Sprite again. Neat. Is that going to do anything? No. It won't do anything. I'm kind of surprised I've been talking for like 10 minutes and nobody else has showed up. Like I did start a little early, chat, but I do want to let you know, when I was getting ready to start up, we were poised. I had, multiple people in the pipe being like, oh, I'll be ready. Yeah, we're getting started up now. We're getting set up. Because I kind of don't want to... I want to do a little new cards PogChamp, but I kind of don't want to do that without people here to bounce off of, because, like, there are probably people who don't know any of this shit.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Somehow, despite being one of the people with the clearest reason for delay, you've made it in first.
Yippee. It's so funny how... Oh, this will just take a second. Always turns into a 20-minute experience. It's so fun.
Yeah. But I was just about to depart from talking about how the intern who makes Master Duel ban lists still doesn't understand how ban lists work.
Okay, we've unlimited Nimble Beaver. I assume that was a sprite card.
Yeah, it's a 2. It's a sprite. Play.
Bonfire and God,
That's OSS, Original Sinful Spoils.
OSS. The I know the Snake Eye cards, but the art I look at, my brain.
Yeah, this screen cap is super compressed, but yes, it's Original Sinful Spoils to 1, Bonfire from 2 to 1.
Maiden.
We're semi-limiting
and
New Maiden
that's Sage?
and yeah, Sage.
Okay, Maiden and Sage to 2. I mean, that's a decent consistency, but also is this the old Maiden or the new Maiden?
That's the new one.
Okay. I don't actually know what the new Maiden does off the top of my head, but if we're just...
Her
just
basic effect
consistency
is
bullshit.
discard to place True Light face up in your spell trap zone. And then I'm pretty sure from the grave she can summon herself out by, like, targeting another light tuner or dragon or something.
Yeah, three. To 2 does nothing for that. If you just have to find one.
Yeah, no. Also, the whole deck is built around level 1 light tuners, so it's just the whole point of the deck is to get to her as one of your starters. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. So, Blue Eyes will be perfectly fine. Never mind that. Also, this means that, and obviously I know they've only been out like 2 months, a month, but this means that the Primite part of Blue Eyes Primite, nothing's happened. Those cards are all at 3.
Go full powered.
So
Doesn't
that's
sound terrible in concept. I don't think the Primite, like the Primites seem fun. They seem good, but that one.
I mean, it's just one of those things where, like, the Primite sub-engine is probably why Blue Eyes is pretty good, because it has, normals that can access the spell cards. And Ether Barrel makes actually a functional, like, normal summon for the deck. It's just one of those things where, like, okay, Maiden to 2, Sage to 2, so you're losing 2 cards. You can replace those with something pretty easily.
Bonfire
Running these 3 at... Would we be running them at 3?
Sage and New Maiden, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I think you got in just after we explain what it does. It just that's true if you discard it. So, finding one of it is enough.
I've had to fight against this deck.
Oh yeah,
a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, I'm glad that it's been out for like, I want to say that was like February, maybe? So, like 3-ish months of the full power New Blue Eyes shit. Like, I am kind of glad that Master Duel is at least doing something about it early, because I had the cynical opinion that because it's a anime bat chest deck, they would never do anything to hurt Blue Eyes. So I'm glad to be proven wrong there.
The one that interests me the most on this list is still putting Bonfire lower. I don't actually. It's been a while since I've played, since I've grinded ladder, but are fire decks still that prevalent?
In Master Duel, yes. Vesper, you'll notice how until this list, Original Sinful Spoils was at 3.
Oh, I didn't even know. I didn't even see that.
Yeah. Original Sinful Spoils went from 3 to 1. I think Sinful Spoils Wanted, or Secret Sinful Spoils was 1. So your Diabelle Searcher was at like 1. I think Diabelle Star herself was at like 2, maybe. All the actual Snake Eye names are at 1. But like, because this is Master Duel, and all of those cards are like supers and ultras, they've never actually been banned. I don't think there's a single actual like Snake Eye card that's forbidden in Master Duel right now. So you've still had all your searchers. You can play at least one of each name, so you can still do everything. You know, it's like you can't recover your loop because you can't rebuild your combo, but you're playing Master Duel, so it doesn't matter, right? Like, is your opponent going to take apart your entire board and then you just, like, live and go again? No, you'll probably scoop.
Yeah, like that. This, I do think Master Duel's gotten way better at it, but we've talked this bit to no end. The best of one format really just allows for a lot of these weird Saki decks to thrive on ladder.
Yeah, I was talking about earlier with the Dice Rally event is interesting, but I feel like the moment Master Duel challenges Yu-Gi-Oh players to be interesting, they're not interesting. They just play either because all the brand new decks that are cool are like 5 Ultras. I should not necessarily completely blame the fact that the player base is the way they are. The Master Duel economy doesn't help them, but almost everybody either starts playing stun bullshit or they play their first deck they played in Master Duel like 3 years ago now. And it's just like, okay, cool. You don't want to do anything fun?
I mean, hey, look, I definitely went into that with just, well, I played Lunalight. I know Lunalight. Let's just do this because I'm not going to go into that with a new deck.
Yeah, and for the dice, I managed to, thanks to the fact that, also, this is another thing I don't like about what they've been doing. I feel like people complained too much that, like, the events were too restrictive and, like, you had to play, like, bad decks, because now it feels like for event ban lists, they barely do anything. The only thing that ever gets banned out is, like, Max C. So, like, I literally was able to just drop, like, they banned, like, Cross Out, Called By, and Max C for the Dice Festival. I dropped, like, 4 cards. Actually, it's 5, because you can play 2 Called By. I dropped 5 cards out of my Metal Morph deck, which is at full power in Master Duel already, and just played through. Which is very funny, by the way, because that involves that involves a Tax Dragon-esque strat. Metal Flame Swordsman burns your opponent for 500 every time they do something, just like Flare Dragon, which you can also set up really easy. Nobody in Master Duel knows how to play through that. Nobody in Master Duel can refuse to activate cards.
You know, like, any tax effect like that, especially on, like, it's weird because Tax Dragon was a gigantic problem in Master Duel forever, but even then, people just don't perceive it for some reason. I don't know why.
And I think they did actually by limiting Brain Fusion to 1, and I think Masquerade may have even been limited to 1 in Master Duel as well. They basically made it so you're never setting up 2 Tax Dragons, which is good.
Which is a good thing.
That's
it's
annoying as hell.
Look, it's I wouldn't say it's good, but it's kind of it's the same thing. I'm like, oh, well, the Solar Flare Dragon block is bad, but if you get hit with it and you have anything else to it, you're like, well, shit, I guess I lose.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like I said, it's the amount of Yu-Gi-Oh players I've seen just, especially because the Dice Rally has like a half life point duel, so they've only got 4K, and the amount of people just go, yes, I will simply finish my combo before I run out of life points. And they don't. They don't do that. And it's just like, I don't, actually, no, I run into a decent number of console players as well. So I don't know if it's like a bot thing or if it's just like Yu-Gi-Oh players, at least playing Master Duel, don't even want to think about their alternate lines. Like, they don't even go, okay, I have 16 card activations. What am I doing with them?
This is something like,
I know the meme for this, Omega. It is, nah, I'd win.
I mean, it's kind of like that. Well, the special part is some people play around it intelligently, but Full Metal Dragon, the retrain of Red Eyes Metal, is also a burn card. It's an Omni, and then if your opponent has a monster in attack position, you can select one and dome them for its attack points. Some people play around that by putting their big assholes in defense mode. Some people do not play around that. The amount of time where my opponent has been, like, able to go battle and probably, like, not die, but they had to activate one more card, and I'm just like, buddy, I have a negate. You know that's what this guy does. You're dead. You've you're letting me negate your card with a guy who's got like 3k attack on the board. You're cooked.
That requires them having read the cards you've played, though.
It's just funny. Like I said, I can't blame Konami entirely for some of those. But let's do a little new card PogChamp than complain about Master Duel's ban list, because they've announced they're doing the tactical Tri-Decks again.
Oh.
In the OCG. The next batch will be, I forget what because I think there's a third one, but I know for a fact they've confirmed one will be Hero, especially Masked
Main
Hero.
deck Masked Hero?
Yes.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Oh no, it's an alt art.
Not,
Dark Law.
Actually, I need to hear the effects again. It's been a bit since I've heard them, so it's.
Well, so I think MBT as the Hero guy has been trying to theory craft these like the moment they came out, and I think he's got good points that like these are many more tools for Hero to use in a deck that already has more tools than they can put in a single deck.
Yeah.
So they're
His
good,
for that was that.
but I don't know if they do enough.
Yeah, because it's like his
think
endpoint
we
was that
said
like
this.
Heroes and boards still don't compare enough anymore.
Yeah.
I think this was something we compared Hero to when we reviewed Galaxy. This is just a forever problem of anime archetypes where they're just going to keep getting support. They're going to keep getting support. It's never going to stop.
That was not the problem.
And- And while it doesn't sound like a problem on paper, eventually you get to the point where you have a critical mass of good cards that you just can't all play. So it just comes down to endless theory crafting from groups trying to put together the endless possible combos.
And I do want to say, I think the problem
is
with
the best.
Hero, the thing that Hero has specifically is that, unlike Galaxy, Galaxy has always had a game plan. Dome your opponent for like 10,000 damage. That's not always good, but at least you can build towards it. I don't know what Hero's game plan is, because what do the end boards make? Do you just make
Hero's game plan
control tools?
has-
Like, how do
Dark
you
Law
win?
Pass?
Hero's game plan has never been consistent, and that's its
Yeah.
biggest problem.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
they,
was
they
what
don't
a
know
lot
what
of people
they're
were
going
saying.
for.
That like
Most
what
of
is-
the
what do you-
end,
Go.
most of the end boards I've seen with Hero has been setting up their own fucking Omni negates or finding a way to make sure that you don't play the game with like Dark Law, fucking Sunrise, whatever his name is.
Well, and I
Just
should
shit
say
like
this.
that.
You say, like, talk about, like, Omni negates. That works in Master Duel where those cards are legal, but you can't do that in paper anymore because, like, Apo's banned, Verona's banned, stuff like that. So, Hero is now a deck that makes 10 million material, but the
For
TCG has been
nothing
consistently
that would
killing
negate.
generic negate materials, so... Literally, all they need to do, I think, for Hero to be a contender is they need to print a single Hero that says when your opponent activates a card or effect, negate it. Stop them from doing that, please.
Or, like, pitch a Hero from deck to grave, negate.
Or even if it was just like, if your opponent removes this card, punch him in the dick. Like, if your opponent
If
Nibiru's your
opponent
board,
removes this card, shoot them with a gun.
that's what they really need, is just, if your opponent Nibiru's your board, flip the table, beat their ass. And that's
But
it.
yeah,
That's all they need. That if they could play through Nib, that would be it. Guess
Yeah,
what?
I-
DDD. I don't think we're gonna look at all of it because there's like 10 new DDD cards.
They have cards that just eat the nib now.
Yeah. The new DDD support is cracked. They have a Link 3.
It looks awesome, and I've also people really said that like DD can now do Cold Fusion.
I mean, DDD could already do Cold Fusion. This is crazy. But let me
Now
actually
it's
read
accelerated
these
Cold
guys
Fusion.
out. So first main deck guy is Masked Hero Dusk Crow, who I believe is actually in the manga.
I think I really say that the designs of these guys are cool though. Like they at least
Yeah,
look
they have
cool
good
as,
good
like,
artworks. I
They
think
look like a weird mix between they're like
I don't remember if Furnace is
they,
unique or not.
They remind me
Atomic
of
is new.
like American versions of like Toku heroes, like because I know that's kind of the point of Smash Hero. So,
The
like,
second main deck guy immediately gives me that like Persona Featherman vibes from
Yeah,
that cowl
that's
and the
Crow, the
helmet.
one I was just
it's like
talking
if it was
about.
it was like if Featherman was made in the '90s.
He's definitely in the manga. I'm pretty sure. I don't know about the two fiery boys. I think Atomic is brand new, which is interesting because he looks a lot like
The
an
one on
anime
the
Iron
right.
Man.
The one on the right legitimately makes you think of how do I put this? It makes you think of back when comics tried to use CGI as a art style because it was new at the time in the early '90s. So it makes you think of that, but like way refined.
Oh yeah, like that guy that Air Neos ripped off.
Yeah,
Oh, Aerodactyl. It look yeah, kind of like that.
So, Dusk Crow is level 4 warrior. You can see his stats there. He has a first and second effect. He can only use one per turn. 1, if this card's in your hand, banish a hero from your graveyard, special summon him. 2, if this card's normal or special, add a masked hero from your deck or graveyard to hand, except Dusk Crow. Just another guy, another summon, another extender.
Yeah, just more extenders.
Furnace is the Fiery Boy main deck. He is a Fire Warrior 7. 22, 1k. You only use the first and second effect once per turn. You can reveal this card in your hand. Add Mask Change or Poly from your deck to your hand, then discard a card. You can't special summon from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect except hero monsters. Even if you could access generics, you are bottlenecked. But if you
Heroes
special
slowly
summon...
becoming Speedroid with all the locks it does.
If you special summon a non-fire hero fusion monster, special summon this card from your graveyard if it was there when it was summoned, or your hand if not, but banish it when it leaves the field. So, again, this guy is a debricker. He searches either Mask Change or Poly from your hand. I think a lot of people are talking about this basically cuts out the, Vion increase loop. Because you can just search Poly with Furnace with way fewer activations, but it does bottleneck
Which
you.
I think most decks would prefer. As fun as the Vion loop is, it takes up too many slots.
Yeah. And then Mass Hero Atomic is our new level 8 fire, 2600, 2k. Must be special with Mass Change. You can use its first and second or third effects once per turn. If this card is special summoned, target a non-fire Mass Hero in your graveyard or banishment. Special summon in defense position, ignoring its summoning conditions. So it just cycles back a Masked Hero. The first time this card be destroyed by battle or card effect, each turn it isn't. During your end phase, set one change, or target one change quick play in your graveyard, set it.
Okay, so gets you any of your changes, which I think is good because you can even.
Yeah.
It's
Does that mean we
underrated.
get more changes.
Yeah, it's an underrated mask change. But we cracked jokes about it being on the ban list in the OCG for a while. But mask change the second is a very good card because it allows you to turn any of your generic bullshit into a masked hero. So if you are running a handful of just generic monsters that line up with your masked hero stats, you can go off with that.
And then they've got a new art of Darklaw doing a Rider Kick. So
they do? That sounds sick.
Here. Let me copy that one in here so we can look at it. I'll throw it on the board. But that's small. Hold on. My bad. I've got a small preview. Let me get a big preview. There he is. Alt art. But yeah, no. So like I said, I like Hero. I've played Hero quite a bit in our retro formats we've done before. And I kind of agree. Like I said, MBT had a pretty big video on this. That was the one where he's being Fiendsmith sequenced, so he's a Cyclops. Real fucked up thumbnails.
That art looks sick.
Basically, all the 3 new hero cards do is just cut cards from 2017, 2018 that you were playing because they were the only way to search Poly, to replace them with new cards that are the only way to search Poly, and it's good, but you're still hero locked if you do the combo. So that means you can't do a Fiendsmith package, which should otherwise be super viable in Hero now, in Evil Heroes, because a Dusted Gold is a Light Fiend.
Yeah, no, it's wait, these are all good cards. The problem is that they
doing Anki's pose, or am I just mistaken?
Aniki
kind of. He's doing
did
the
a
kick.
Rider Kick. It's just the Rider Kick pose. I think Aniki did something similar to it.
Yeah.
But it's still Dark Lord, isn't it?
Yeah,
yes,
it's
a Dark Ball.
So it's just old art, okay.
Yes. Yeah, I mean it's just a very weird state that a deck like Hero is in, where it's the problem of an anime deck forced to be tied down to older mechanics, and it's not even the mask change mechanic and a lot of the hero fusion monsters are bad cards. It's just it's the forever problem of a card game that keeps marching on, and unlike Magic or something where they can just reset to an extent reset the power level, and just kind of tweak and tinker with mechanics to get better.
mean,
they
Go
can't really do
cards,
that
not legal.
And then also another thing I will say is this
they made new
does get
versions
you
of fusions already.
to contrast Hero Chaos a lot easier, who is kind of a negate. Once per turn during either player's turn, target a face-up card and negate that target's effect. So that's a inherent quick effect to negate, and he's a level 9 body with 3k attack, and, you know, that way...
It's also a kind of negation that is just hard to work around, because it's not an effect negation. Like it's not a like negate that activation. It's just no, this card's just negated now. Like
yeah, that card's just negated for the rest of the turn. So that's like a pretty good path that I think this new Master Hero stuff does. The problem, like I said, is that the deck still doesn't have any insulation from Nibiru and other like hand trap effects. They don't have any way to like negate guys in the graveyard or hand, like say DDD for instance does, which is another anime deck with 9 billion cards. But unlike Hero these days, like DDD, every time they get a single new card, somebody's going like, "Oh shit, update the spreadsheets, brother. We're cooking. We've got 4,000 more permutations we can do now."
DDD, much like Galaxy, has always had a game plan in mind, especially as and it's shifted unlike Galaxy and more like Hero. But I think what sets the two decks apart in comparison is that DDD's like board enders and like big end pieces are game defining, whereas a lot of Heroes is just like, well, this is a really good card, like, so I want to play it.
And for instance, we've retrained Thunder Giant. They're also doing that, you know, the Dual Academy pack. So this is Elements of Hero Thunder Giant Voltaic Thunder. No, this is a retrain. This is the subtitle. He's Voltaic Thunder mode. So this is same stats, but he's 2 elemental heroes with different attributes.
Okay.
Must be fusion summoned, which is the same thing Thunder Giant said. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn each. If this card is special summoned and your opponent controls more cards than you do, destroy all of the cards on the field. So just if your opponent has a board,
it's Exaton. Awesome.
Yeah. Also, you can tribute this card that was fusion summoned using a normal monster material, target an elemental hero in your graveyard, special summon it. So if you use some garnets to make him, he can tribute himself to just reborn a guy after he's double board.
I was trying to say this earlier before you brought up, but it was like they're remaking they're just making new versions of all the early fusion.
Well, I mean, no, I don't think we can say they're remaking all versions. They did
it
like...
No, fair, but like, I mean, they could always remake. What was the water one? Besides that, there's also Necro Shaman.
Mudball Man. Can we remake Mudball Man?
There was Mudball Man and one with Bubble Man, and I think it was Wild Heart or Shaman? Mariner, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what that guy did. There was also Bubble Man and Personitrix was Steam Healer.
I believe Shaman. I believe Shaman was just like if this card deals, it's like a 1600. They're like, this card deals damage, pop a card or something. Like, it was bad. It was.
They should then. What they should do then is turn that into what's that Altergeist card? Not Malwisp. The direct attacker.
Here we go.
Remember.
I found it.
While you have any? Oh no, this is even worse than I thought.
While you have target pop and then destroy the target and special summon with your opponent's graveyard to the field.
Ooh.
But yeah, so like Voltaic Thunder's cool. I like the effort, and I like the materials. The main problem is that this is a going second card. Your opponent has to control more cards than you do. So that's cool, but is that what we're doing with Hero? Are we a blind second deck?
Don't think we are.
No. Unfortunately, well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. They did a new Water Dragon. They did Light Water Dragon, who's a level 4, whose name is always treated as Water Dragon.
It's funny.
You can banish this card. You control special summon 3 level 5 or lower water or wind dinosaurs from your deck, but their effects are negated. You can't special summon except dinosaurs and sea serpents. Don't know if that does anything to like fucking rescue rabbit out wind and water dinosaurs, but it's funny.
But yes, it's an amusing card. I also found the card I was thinking of. Mariner is Bubbleman and Navion. It's 1400. That can just attack directly if you have a set spell or trap card, or a set card in your spell and trap zone.
That asshole.
That's very bad. That's
yeah,
very
it
bad.
doesn't
Doesn't do shit.
Doesn't do anything else. It can just attack directly. Sometimes.
It's terrible. That doesn't do anything. And also, as usual, Armed Dragon also gets a card that doesn't do fucking anything. They got Drill Armed Dragon. You can send this card and one other wind monster from your hand to the graveyard for rest of this turn. All wind dragons you control gain 300 attack. Literally nothing. You can banish any number of dragons that are level 7 or higher and or wind from your graveyard. Add 1 dragon from your deck to your hand with a level equal to the number banished except Drill Armed Dragon. So you have to go, like, -7 to search, you know, Tempest or something.
The worst assault of all time.
Yeah, it's bad. But the other thing that's got people pretty excited is one of the other tactical try decks is Dark Magician.
Oh? We're doing more?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, Dark Magician may be real. Not quite as real as, like, Blue Eyes, I don't think. But we're adding 3 new cards again.
Fusion.
Yeah. Also, hey, Vesper, you notice how this card's purple? That's not real. This card's a Link one. Let me explain to you. So, Dark Magician of Destruction, level 8 Spellcaster Fusion, 2800 attack, 2600 defense. Dark Magician or 1 lighter Dark Monster must either be Fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by banishing 1 level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster you control during a turn a spell card or effect was previously activated.
Oh, so he's Thunder Dragon for Dark Magician. I hate it.
Basically. Did you activate a spell card? Yeah.
Is that fucking Timaeus with, like, Dark Magician-esque armor?
Yes, we also have a new Timaeus.
That is Dragon Master Knight, but Timaeus, yes.
You can only special summon Dark Magician of Destruction once per turn this way. 1, his name becomes Dark Magician while he's on the field, face up, or in the graveyard. If this card's special summoned, add Dark Magician or a card that mentions it from your deck to your hand straight up.
Yeah?
So just, yeah.
Sorry.
The new Timaeus is Timaeus the United Magic Dragon. Light Dragon Fusion, 2800 attack, 1800 effect. Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, plus a dragon or a spellcaster. Just all the targets we like. You can only use it.
Just DMG and Rod, who cares?
Yeah. Doesn't matter. You can only use the second and third effects once per turn. After this card is special summoned until the end of your next turn, it's unaffected by other cards' effects.
Uh-huh.
Fuck you, I'm a Towers. If this card battles during damage calc, you can make it gain 100 attack for each spell in the graveyards and banishment. Note that that's both graveyards and banishments. So it's only 100, but it's any spell cards that have been used anywhere ever, so that's actually okay.
That does add up at a point, especially if it's already 2,800.
Yeah.
Like, even if this was just like
remember, he's still a
turn 2 or
fusion
3.
monster, so you still have to add at least 1. You have to activate at least 1 spell card to make him.
Now, surely this third spell card is not like a quick play fusion card, right? Surely it would.
Maybe, yeah, no. But also,
I already read
Magic
it.
Dragon Timaeus has well, it's got Timaeus on it.
Timaeus.
We can
card.
figure out. The third effect though of the United Magic Dragon is during your opponent's turn only. Quick effect: target a spell trap, destroy it.
That's funny.
So he's a Towers. After it's summoned until the end of your next turn.
It's Dragoon again.
Well, also, that's the funny thing. So Dragoon is, like, unbanned in the OCG, which means that with Dark Magician of Destruction, because he becomes Dark Magician on the field, it is super easy to turn him into a engine that turns into Dragoon. Without doing, like, a Red Eyes Fusion lock.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't. As much as I think the OCG has been scared of Dragoon for too long, I don't think. Hey, what if we made another way for you can turn like any 1 guy or 2 guys into Dark Dragoon again?
Yeah,
without Verte, without the Red Eyes Fusion lock.
The more I'm processing, I don't think this will be anything to the level of what Blue Eyes is. But also, this does feel like just enough that everyone's favorite DM player at locals is going to cream their pants when these cards come out.
And I think the problem, the difference between this and Blue Eyes is, people old school anime stands bitch about like Blue Eyes. Oh, you're not playing 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. MBT talked about how his like original sin in the Yugi community apparently was he did a Dark Magician TMT in like 2018 where people got on him for not running 3 regular Dark Magicians, which I think these days would be like, of course you don't run 3 Dark Magicians. He's a fucking vanilla brick. You don't need that many. He doesn't do anything in the deck. But like, so I think there's still some old school like hard heads like that. But Blue Eyes as a deck is still a Blue Eyes deck. Like even now that you tech in Primite, you're still playing dragons and playing normal monsters. In fact, if you want to play Blue Eyes Primite, you have to play the normals, you know? The problem with this Dark Magician stuff is, 1, okay, pretty good, we're going to get a Dark Magician deck. That's pretty good. We haven't even said what Gaze of Timaeus, the quick play spell, does yet. But, also, because What's-His-Face, Dark Magician of Destruction, is effectively a Link one, right? Activate any spell card, banish any level 6 or higher spellcaster you control, which is very easy to set up. This means that you can put a package. You can package now. You can package Dark Magician.
All you need is an Eternal Soul. Like, legitimately, like all you need to do is be playing Eternal Soul, activate a spell card, and you've like, it's a 1-card towers in essence. Eternal Soul now. And
also,
well,
they fixed Eye of Timaeus, right? Because Eye of Timaeus, they tried to make Eye of Timaeus better by saying it mentions a Dark Magician monster. The problem is that all the other Dark Magician support is about cards that mention him, because all the old-ass cards just mention Dark Magician. So they fixed it. Like, Gaze of Timaeus.
It slowly just became like, oh, Magicians so-and-so, and not Dark Magicians so-and-so.
Yeah. So this is a quick play spell card that says target 1 Dark Magician or Dark Magician girl you control or in your graveyard. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster for your extra deck that mentions it as material by shuffling that monster into the deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn.
Okay, so
this is treated as summoning with Eye of Timaeus.
I was gonna say, I don't think I heard you say during, what is it, only during the main phase?
No.
Okay, so it's a quick play that's not only during the main phase, but there is an actual like drawback to it where it gets banished. But also, if you're playing this, you're probably trying to extend the push for games, so it won't matter.
Yeah. Also, I want to bring this up. It says banish it during the end phase of the next turn. I think if you... I don't know if how the timing works, but Magic Dragon is unaffected until the end of your next turn. So if you use, not as a quick play, if you use Gaze of Timaeus to summon United Magic Dragon on your turn, I think it's still unaffected all through your opponent's end phase. So It doesn't get banished.
The end of the end of a turn does not constitute the next turn starting, so it will still be it will still be unaffected until turn play officially passes.
Yeah, because
so it should be immune to that.
Gaze triggers in the end phase, and Magic Dragon is unaffected, until the end of your next turn. So after your turn
the only thing that would make me think it wouldn't work that way is basically just would be Konami come out and saying, no, it works that way because of course it should.
Yeah, I don't know if they will, but it's really interesting.
They've done it before,
like I said, do these 3 cards like make Dark Magician as good as Blue Eyes? No, because like here's the thing that Blue Eyes has had for years, literally 10 years, that Dark Magician doesn't have. A like engine extra deck. Like, Dark Magician has some cool fusion monsters. Almost all of those are like bosses. The closest we get is Dark Magician of Destruction, but
Blue Eyes also has the benefit of being dragons.
Still like linear.
Like I know spellcasters aren't a poorly supported archetype or super type, but dragons are dragons. We have Dragon Ravine, we have Dragon Shrine, we have cards that, like, this isn't even dragon card, cards of consonance. Like there are just so many cards that just, even in the generic aspect, are designed with an intentional push towards Blue Eyes. Whereas Dark Magician has just gotten a bunch of random little bits and bobs over the years.
Yeah. But it's still going to be pretty spicy, I think, and going to be funny.
It'll still be fun. Good. Just won't be like tier 1.
Yeah. And honestly, like I said, I do, as much as I make a joke about, well, they made it a Link one, honestly, if you're trying to find new ways to get Dark Magician, like, out of the extra deck, making it so, like, oh, you've activated a spell card, well, we'll just magically transform into the new guy. Yeah, that's fine. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, in the Age of Dragoon, this card came out. This would have been disgusting, but Dragoon is still a good card. Nowhere near like the threat it used to be.
Yeah,
it's still again like there will always be cards that will cause problems, but nothing to that end.
Am I the only one who sees the image for Gaze of Timaeus and just thinks he's just remembered something really important?
My oven is on!
Yeah.
I mean, it does kind of look like that. I don't know if that's like a specific anime shot, but he is doing like a dramatic, like fucking... If you played the new type flash sound over this image, it would not go wrong. Like, something's going on with him.
I was more thinking of like the giant scream you hear in like what Elder Dragons make in like Monster Hunter. Like that sound where he just like stuns everyone on screen.
Every
the
Monster
look of this
Hunter
card
does that, though.
Definitely makes me feel like it's a reference to another Yu-Gi-Oh card. We just put Timaeus on it because I swear I've seen like this pose before on a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Probably.
Like it feels like a Tyrant Dragon support card, maybe.
Maybe.
I will do some digging in the background while the
But
rest
yeah,
of you all.
so we'll talk about the main meat of the show, which we're going to talk about Parshath, which I joked to chat before you guys got here, but I will remind now. So this is another great case where Upper Deck just absolutely slaughtered this card.
Pashiasu.
Yeah, it's Pashiasu, a.k.a. Perseus.
Yes.
So, yeah, this guy, Parshath's supposed to be Perseus the entire time, and it's never been a problem because it doesn't matter, actually, but it's so funny.
Parshath and his best friend Richie, and their side piece Buster Rancher. They have a support group now. They're fine.
Buster Rancher. But I wanted to bring up, I figured this out next because technically this is a series that was supported via Structure Deck. Specifically, the Structure Deck that got through this was Wave of Light in 2018.
Yeah. There was a more recent one. Okay.
Well, yes, because there was supposed to be a Surge of Radiance, was the OCG name for it, which came out during the GX era and included reprinting Parshath and a couple of new cards, like just generally was like it had like Neo Parshath and Nova Summoner was first released there and stuff. So like all the Sanctuary and Sky support. But guess what? In the TCG, those cards instead ended up in, everybody guess with me now, Strike of Neos! The Forbidden Set! So yeah, no, it's just very funny that we made the Ravidactyl joke earlier because, yeah, no, the Parshath Structure Deck, which was, like I said, mostly reprints, but had, like, a couple of new ones, like I said, like Neo Parshath, the Retrain, and Nova Summoner and stuff, you know, that kind of, like, turning Sanctuary in the Sky into a deck before Agents even. That all got cannibalized for Sky Neos, so it's very funny to me that the TCG did end up with the Retrain version of that deck, which became Wave of Light, which didn't really, I think, make a big impact other than maybe... actually, no. I believe that was where Ava premiered. Yeah, that was where Ava first came out. So it gave us Ava, and it gave us cheap reprints of the Heralds, like Orange Light, Green Light, Purple Light. So, like, that set up for when Drytron became cool later. But other than that, I don't think Wave of Light had a lot of impact. I don't hear a lot of people be like, oh, man, you gotta play Wave of Light.
Wave of Light structure? Let me glance to see what was all in this.
Yeah. But while we're there, I'll pull up the art on the original Parshaths. I'm
just kind of glancing through. This is just like good counter. This is just good fairy slop. Like it's like you've got all the counter fairies. You've got like Ariadne, Gelenduo, Nova Summoner,
and obviously they got shit like Honest.
Yeah.
the Heralds. And so this will be a very interesting like look at Yu-Gi-Oh's history because like the original Parshath was just a guy. We just put him in Legacy of Darkness. You know, he just came out in a core set and was a very iconic guy.
Yeah, him and Xarian Universe were kind of the like iconic combat singletons of GOAT format.
Yeah. And I've got his art pulled up for stream to see, but I'll just read his effect really quick. Parshath is a level 5 fairy. He's only got 1900 attack, which is low for a fairy, but it makes sense because this was one of the first guys to just inherently have the ability to do piercing, and also if he inflicts battle damage, draw 1.
You know, OG Parshath, he may not feel like it when you just glance at sorry, he may not look at like if you just glance at his stats, but that effect, especially for GOAT format era, is absurdly powerful. Like, we were playing the Koichi to draw cards. Of course, we're going to play a guy who does things and still draws cards.
Unironically, I think guys like Skell Angel, who's a flip monster that draws you 1, was like in some decks because I think he's also a light. Like,
some people who were down bad did play Skell Angel. Yes.
No, that's what I meant to say. Yu-Gi-Oh players have always historically been down bad for card draws. This guy is a card draw on a not terrible body. Like, this was, let's see, Legacy of Darkness, which set in the order was that? Same set where we released Yada. Darkness. So, like, yeah, no, we're still down bad for 1900 beaters.
Yeah, and like sure, it's a tribute, and it's like it's only just stronger than Vorse Raider and Mechanical Chaser, but again, pure like he doesn't have to beat over something big. He just has to beat over anything that was on the board. Like, if your opponent just left a random just guy that was on the board, like set, like, oh, like whatever game state of like, oh, he's just got a Spear Reaper on the board, Parshath, I'm just gonna keep hitting you now. Like, I'm just gonna keep drawing cards. I don't care that he can't die.
And of course he's light, which is, you know, the chaos typing. So no, this was a card that became iconic for a reason. And also, I think some of it has to do with his look, because look at this Yu-Gi-Oh freak. Like,
yeah,
this is a Yu-Gi-Oh man who is also a horse.
He's like a Pegatar, or however you'd phrase it.
Yeah.
And like his shoulders are like wrapped in wings.
He's got like a weird guitar. Just, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's got like a guitar or some other kind of punch sword. He's got a shield on his other arm, but he's holding it weird.
No, I think the idea of it's meant to be, it's basically he's holding the middle of it. It's got a weird protective on a long arm,
well, I mean that is like, that still is weird. You don't hold a shield like down extended like that from the top down.
That's fair.
You grip shields from the side to pull them over in front of you.
No, that's fair. It just, I think it's also how certain characters like Zelda hold shields.
I mean, now I'm pretty sure Link holds it from the side.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but
I can't comment.
You know, Parshath, like, sure, you can look at it now and go, ooh, I can smell the old school Yu-Gi-Oh on him, but it still just feels nice. Like, there's nothing about this design feels like an assault to my senses looking at him blowing up, which is something you can't say for many Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
It's a weird design, but it's a design. It's still a signature. It's still a unique design. And I guess I look at it as like Katara being like, if he's a fucking centaur, why wouldn't this trade it actually like
yeah, that it's unusual, but it doesn't really sound that wild. I'm also going to say I think the wiki has a good idea to talk about how he's kind of like the opposite of Mephis the Infernal General, who's another level 5 guy with pretty low stats, but he's a Dark Fiend level 5, 1800. He also does piercing, but his effect is the opposite. If it does battle damage, your opponent discards 1. Mephis is also another guy you see in a lot of old school GOAT decks as like a 1-of or something, because again, if you get in with a discard 1, that's brutal.
Mephis is one of those guys who is like always on the cusp of playability for GOAT format. In the same way like Skell Angel, like just something that I feel that has gone away from GOAT format the longer it's been played is just people have like brewed out what cards are worth playing and what are not way more. So Mephis is one of those cards that's fallen to the wayside.
Well,
But you always have people like trying to be cheeky.
One of the things you do back in the day, and I know that I didn't do this around because I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh in public, but in the booster pack I got to Mephiston, I also got the fucking Ballisto Rampart Smashing, which is, you know, get extra attack points and Pierce on a defense monster.
Yeah, I think it's better you get extra attack if you're attacking a defense position monster.
Yeah, so with Mephis, it's basically just like, what's that? You've got a Millennium Shield. Fuck you. Take damage. Love that guy. I have a soft spot for Mephis.
But yeah, he's.
Oh, no,
like, I think the
Like
game
with
is very.
all the cards from my childhood.
I think it's
Give
very
me a
clear that,
Doom-
like we said, they're supposed to be opposites.
Give me a fucking Fusilier dual mode dragon retrain.
That would be
City.
pretty fucking- That guy would be pretty sick.
Yeah, no, like the thing that sets Mephis apart from Parshath in terms of like, I guess, length of play, is you can only make your opponent discard so many cards, while you can draw as many cards as you want.
Especially because this is a thing people do forget about. It's one of the things that honestly I think people forget too much about old school Yu-Gi-Oh! But old school Yu-Gi-Oh! was slow. Like, before the ramp up of special summoning, which admittedly was still pretty early, like Sidra considered to have killed the GOAT format was, you know, like literally the first GX set, which is like
Sidra killed
20
GOAT
years
format,
ago.
but even then, like, special summoning as an inherent thing was not something that was prevalent for a long while. Sidra was
But
just
the
way
kind
ahead
of
of
like
its time.
that kind of like changed the pace of play a little bit. But pre-Sidra,
Yeah.
like in Classic GOAT and earlier, Yu-Gi-Oh games were very deliberate, and I think that's why like cards like Graceful Charity and like the Hand Rippers, like big draw power got limited down a little, and discarding got limited and banned pretty early, because that's the kind of thing where like lets you basically explode. Like normally Yu-Gi-Oh was a pretty steady experiment of like, okay, I'll normal summon, maybe I have like a weird case where I can special, like a monster board somebody out of the graveyard or something, set up for like a tribute, and then you run into something like your opponent plays Delinquent Duo and you're like, oh shit, you've just set me back like 2 turns of draws basically. You've ripped 2 cards out of my hand. Or,
now?
you know, Graceful Charity. Oh, I just went 3 deep. I basically moved the turn clock up 3 and pitched 2. So, like,
Yeah, and
slowing down
God
for, like,
forbid
draw
the Chaos
1.
era, where discarding 2 is no longer a -2 if you're playing Chaos.
Yes, discard 2 is just, well, if there's 1 light and 1 dark, I can now special. I can special the BLS I've just drawn.
Yeah.
And the game is now over.
Yeah.
Rip.
Get fucked.
But yeah, so Parshath is like an old school guy who's like seen, you know, as maybe like a 1 of or 2 of in a couple of decks because he's a funny little guy, and really left an impression on the Yugi public. And for some reason, they decided to connect him to Sanctuary in the Sky. Oh, I thought I had that card.
Yeah, like there's a reason Parshath has like 5 retrains as opposed to Mephis. No shade on Mephis. Like, he's still a good card. It's just Parshath definitely became the more iconic of the 2.
Yeah. And we've talked about a few of the, like, retrains of Sanctuary, I think. I don't remember if we talked about it at length, because they did do a weird thing where, like, because we've talked about agents before, they kind of, like, backdoored agents into Sanctuary / Counter Fairies, but
Yeah.
Parshath and Sanctuary in the Sky became linked together by that first structure deck, and they kind of stay that way. Sanctuary in the Sky is a very simple card. I've put up the card art now. It's a field spell that just says... sorry, I'm just...
No
like,
battle
I'm,
damage from fairy monsters, right?
Yeah, I'm like looking at the PCST version of this card deck, and I'm like, wow, is there not a way to say this? Sorry, battle damage to the controller of a fairy monster becomes 0 with that battle, basically. If you control a fairy, you don't take battle damage.
That's a fun way of putting it.
What's the original version of this text? Oh, well, they've eroded it a few times, but it hasn't really changed the meaning at all.
It's probably just one of those just weird battle damage, like just the way they had battle damage coded in card text is just hard to like.
Well, and it's one of those weird things
rephrase.
because technically I think they want it to be they're trying to communicate that it is a demerit as well because it says to the controller of a fairy monster. So that does mean that if you play Sanctuary and your opponent is playing any fairies, they also take no battle damage. But it's not double-sided so that if your opponent would take battle damage from your fairy attacking, they still take damage. It's weird. But it's a pretty key card because it sets up there were a couple of old school fairies that like couldn't be destroyed by battle. And also you would later, like I said, when they actually did the structure deck, because the original Sanctuary in the Sky just came out in the set called Ancient Sanctuary, which had a lot of fairy stuff in it. But it will become key to some of like Parshath's retrains and stuff. But they eventually added like Nova Summoner and other floaters and stuff. And there was a
It's funny
trap
because
card
I'm trying to remember the name of the card, but like Parshath basically gets a new like analog that's not Memphis, Zera, right? Because like Zera kind of becomes he becomes the Pandemonium guy.
Yes, and I actually, well, he also becomes the Sanctuary in the Sky guy because yes, I actually have the Zera woven into this as well. But first, we got to talk about a few more of our boys in the Sanctuary in the Sky. So this is the trap card. Sorry, Light of Judgment, also an Ancient Sanctuary. Because instantly Sanctuary in the Sky had support cards. This is a trap which says if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, discard one light monster to the graveyard. Apply one of the following effects: look at your opponent's hand, discard one, send one card your opponent controls to the graveyard. So, like, for Ancient Sanctuary, for a trap, not bad. I mean, it's like, you know, you're going negative still no matter what, but look at your opponent's hand, discard one, or non-targeting, send a card your opponent controls. Pretty mean.
Yeah.
This I want to say thematically, Chad, this is important because this is the first card that says, if you got Sanctuary in the Sky on the field. This will become important later, as we often do with the way.
Sanctuary in the Sky essentially becomes a win more card for a lot of these kinds of a lot of these cards that are loosely Parshath related.
I honestly kind of like I forget. Are there ones that are basically like this card counts as Sanctuary in the Sky yet?
Yes, there will be retrains later.
Okay,
both
it's
field and continuous ones.
It's not Valhalla, but there is one continuous spell card that gets that effect where it just counts as Sanctuary.
But let's take a.
I think about you, Umi, of older Umi likes.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I don't know why they keep playing it that way, but that's something I think it needs to fucking die. We need to have no more Umi retrains. And also, specifically, I would like Umi Control to die before we get to Sea Stealth 4 and Legendary Fisherman 10. Please stop. Nobody likes this shit.
I mean... Is Sea Stealth 3 already?
We're already we're at Sea Stealth 2 and already at Legendary Fisherman 3, I believe.
The Sundaime. Well,
I mean, we could reach 5 and...
I mean, I think it would unironically be an actual Legendary Fisherman 4, but because ever since they did Guilty a Soul Spear, which searches a level 5 Water Warrior, in addition to a 6 Dark Machine and a 7 Dark Dragon, Insect Queen, get fucked, I guess. But
look, no one actually remembers that card. Don't worry about it.
There's no, I think actually, unironically, like I think Joey may play it in one duel after he wins it off Weevil, but he almost never actually uses it.
In one duel, and it's the Odeon duel where it just becomes third cat food.
Yeah, it jobs out immediately, as you would expect, because Weevil sucks ass. Should have thrown
Insect Queen is a bad card.
Insect Queen only worked because Weevil is a literal cheater.
Yeah,
he literally hit his opponent with the fucking DNA surgery insect barrier lock without even actually playing DNA surgery. What a fucker.
It's really funny how they try to force Parasite to work, and it just doesn't.
No, but he does have I know because I do a lot of like test hands in solo mode, and Weevil is the first one of those in the anime lineups. The retrain of that is super annoying because it's like when your opponent activates a card effect, target a monster with this card in your hand, equip it. That monster becomes an insect. Its effects are negated. It can't attack insects, and it's just
Zera.
like really annoying. But yeah, Warrior of Zera, Zera no Senshi.
Can you just go for all the Zera versions now?
I mean, yes, of the first four, because they're kind of like directly related. Zera's a guy kind of like our boy Digreffer, who we haven't done a full deep dive on, who goes through some stuff. He's a vanilla, so I'll just read out his flavor text. Warrior of Zera is a Earth 4 normal, 1616, so like, what set did he actually get printed in? Okay, so he's printed in Ancient Sanctuary first, as just like a guy. 1616 on a vanilla is a little weak for back then even, but it's funny. But he says he is a wandering warrior who seeks the sanctuary where he can gain the power of the Archlords, which obviously would become Archlord Zerato. To escape the temptation of evil fiends, he fights solo day by day. So he is a warrior who is clearly attempting to find the sanctuary in the sky so that he can become an angel.
Surely he won't fall to the lure of the temptation, right?
Yeah,
honestly,
I don't have it
as,
in the. I don't have it in the queue, but you can see on his sword there, he very clearly has Zera the Mant.
Yeah. There he is.
I forget what the Zera the Mant ritual spell is, but I think it's just like.
Is it just Zera ritual?
I always took it as basically.
I think it is.
I think the idea that Zera here basically is a choose your own adventure book protagonist of where you go basically shows where he ends up.
Yes.
Because...
No, Zera ritual is he sits on the wrong chair.
Oh, okay. So he took.
Wait, is it? I need to see this now.
No, I've put it up on screen, but also look up Zera ritual if you don't want to wait for the latency. It's just Warrior of Zera, slightly less buff, sitting in an evil chair.
Oh yeah.
I'll recenter it slightly.
He just gets consumed by the Zera.
And I didn't put Zera the Mant in here because that's another dogshit old vanilla ritual.
I don't even know. I feel like there's the whole thing about it, but I just take it as like this is where Zera just falls to darkness, so he becomes a giant archfiend.
By the way, in Japanese, his name is just Zeta, so Zera the Mant is just something that he's like Upper Deck decided on, I guess. Like there's
I mean, and I don't know why they went with just the Mant. I think I get what they're going for because I think it's because he's got a cape. It's supposed to be like Zera the Mantle, you know, like the caped guy. But it's just Zera in this. But I'll also show chat his card art because he is a Yu-Gi-Oh monster of all time. He has a skull for a codpiece.
I love Zera the Mant. He's so stupid.
Oh, honestly, Zera the Mant
retrain this motherfucker
for early ritual monsters does look cool. He just doesn't do it. Like he's just a vanilla ritual.
He's a vanilla. Like... He does at least say you can ritual summon him, so he's like not like what was the other guy?
I can look at the context. I can look at the context because of being like he just has a cursed sword, so he just got consumed by it.
Yeah. But no, seriously, we should retrain this guy, Konami, because I'm pretty sure. I don't think it was in the.
I mean, considering the whole thing's about how Digreffer has alternative versions of himself, Zera's whole thing is literally just about like what version his quest takes him to, because he becomes like one of the strongest things in the place he goes to, regardless of what it is. Like, if the place becomes an archfiend and becomes an archangel, he becomes a zombie lord.
Oh, Zera is a Hebrew word for seed, which explains the origin mini monster that originated from Warrior of Zera. So yeah, like he is literally a seed that is planted in other places and in all different realities.
grows into, like, one of the
becomes
strongest things.
this creature
Yeah.
of various.
The ritual version is like doesn't really have a lot to do. Like I said, that's just like
Yeah.
they kind of had the same name, so they decided because I'm pretty sure before it even got printed, Zera was technically a filler monster in the anime. It was like one of the guys they killed in the first VR World arc, and then Bandit Keith plays him when he comes back as a mind control guy.
In episode 53, Aster Phoenix uses this card during his duel against Jaden Yuki. So I guess at some point, I guess before Aster revealed he was playing heroes, he was just playing like a Zera deck.
Wild.
What?
So first, we've got Arc Lord Zerato, aka Archangel Zerato in the OCG, Dai Tenshi Zerato. This is a card that many people will, like, think about because there are a couple Archlords, like Christie is I think the most famous, but you've seen a few like guys like this. I think his summoning condition is too troublesome for him to ever actually have been good, but I feel like this guy was one of those guys that, like, back in the day you were like, man, can I set up to do Arc Lord Zerato? Because he's
like...
a 8 fairy 28, can't be normal to summon or set. You have to tribute a face-up warrior of Zera.
That feeling will never go away in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, for God's sake, like you can look at so many you can look at so many different like cards like this that are bad. They're bad. Their summoning conditions are far too unwieldy, but people will try. People will try.
Yeah. So you special summon him by tributing face-up warrior of Zera while Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field. If Sanctuary in the Sky is on your field, you can discard a light monster to destroy all monsters on your opponent's side of the field. It does say, by the way, if Sanctuary in the Sky is not on your side of the field, this effect is not applied. This guy needs a PCST pass, I think, unfortunately. You could probably
for sure
simplify this down. Not just the part where it says, like, you have to discard a light monster from your hand to your graveyard. You know, you could trim that down a little, but also just, you know, we have done the field spell has to be face up on the field to, you know, to apply this effect. But yeah, Zerato, like, hypothetically, if you have Sanctuary, is a board wipe. He's a Raigeki, and he's a 28 body, so, like, that's not bad. Like, hypothetically, like, if you just normal summons regular Zerato, or obviously these days, if you unexpected died him out.
I was going to say this, like in a perfect world, this is a 2-card combo of unexpected die and terraforming. Like,
yeah.
Sure, that gets you to Sanctuary in the Sky, but, like, what does that accomplish after you've played this guy and wiped the board?
I mean, you got a 2800 guy. That's all it accomplishes. I think is his evil version. Yeah, it's the Pandemonium version.
A Dark Lord Zerato.
No, not yet. Mazera Deville is the first one. That's the Pandemonium version.
Like cousin or something, I guess.
Well, I mean, I can tell you what it is. They just flipped it around. He's Debidu Mazera, Devil Mazera.
I mean, yeah.
So they just made him
just
Mazera Deville.
Just like Hades. We just put a space between A and D's.
Also, much like Dark Ruler Hades, Mazera Deville is fucked up. I've never seen this guy blown up large before. I'm not happy.
God, he's got like eye
this.
holes everywhere. I hate it.
Yeah, he's got like three faces on his torso.
That is some like primo. That is some primo like Inferno shit.
This is some trypophobia warnings. Holy
this guy sucks. I don't want to look at him.
Can we get him off
the
I
mean, he has the exact same stats as the light version, but he's a dark fiend.
I'm forgetting the name of it. The name of the things in Hellraiser. Cenobites. He's got Cenobite
the Cenobites
energy.
Nah, he's not quite BDSM enough. This is
fair,
like
but it's got the. Yeah, this is totally.
I want to say, I mean, he's literally called Debidu Mazera. This is also some Devilman shit.
Oh yeah, you're fucking right. This is Go Nagai as hell.
Yeah, no, look at this guy. This guy's real fucked
listen,
up.
Go Nagai loves putting faces on the chests of his enemies.
Wow.
I mean, he does.
This card has the exact same summoning conditions as Archlord Zerato.
Eyes and not like eye holes just bored into the body. It's my thing.
Yeah, it's weird. But you have to have Pandemonium on the field. if Pandemonium's on the field when you special summon this card, which of course you will do because it's on the field, your opponent discards 3 random cards, which also is like mean as hell. The problem is, unlike Sanctuary in this guy, Pandemonium as a spell, as a field spell, sucks.
Yeah, Pandemonium doesn't. I don't even know. Let me look up what Pandemonium does again. I remember playing it, trying to make this work at some point.
Neither player has to pay LP for Archfiends. If an Archfiend's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, add an Archfiend from your deck to your hand with a lower level than destroyed card.
That's why I remember playing this card, because at some point I had a fucking like chess Archfiend deck brewed up that was bad.
Yes, because Archfiends are bad.
I put in the channel a thing for just to show what go to guy does sometimes with enemies. It's like, I don't know why the face is there. It doesn't actually do anything. It's just there.
Hold on, I got it before I pull the next Yu-Gi-Oh card. I gotta show chat this. Tell me this isn't Mazera DeVille, man. Look at that guy.
I mean, it's got the same idea there, you know?
Mazera DeVille, man.
But no, but to briefly tangent, but to talk about our progression tournament series, Vesper, you mentioned Archfiends are bad. Archfiends were so bad that Dallas, who loves Archfiends and loves playing bad decks, built an Archfiend deck and told himself, this sucks and is not going anywhere, and never played it. Like, I think he may have played it, like, maybe 1 week when he was, like, rolling D8 to pick his deck, but he almost never played Archfiends despite loving Archfiends, because that's how fucking bad chess Archfiends are.
Chess Archfiends are just, like, I love the aesthetic. I love the aesthetic premise, but God, they should have come out, like, if they meet in even, like, 2 years later, they might have been passable.
But they were made at
they
just
just came out in, like, in just the worst possible time.
The card of this is the card that actually matters for this. This is Zeradius, Herald of Heaven, who came out, I think, around the same set. No, Force of the Breaker. So a few years later. But this was our next big Zerato guy, because this is the guy that searches the field spell. He is a 2100 attack, level 4 light fairy. Discard this card, add Sanctuary in the sky. If Sanctuary is not on the sky, destroy this card. So he's
Sanctuary is not in the sky.
He's Harpy Queen. He's Captain Gold, etc., etc. Legendary.
Boss Hunter.
No, it's what. It's not Legendary Fisherman that searches Ocean, is it? Who is it? Warrior from Atlantis? Is that the guy you discard for?
The Warrior of Atlantis,
Legendary
I think, something like that.
Yeah,
Warrior of Atlantis is the guy that discards and adds Legendary Ocean, because of course it works that way, guys. Like.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier. Sometimes Konami just says cards work that way. I do appreciate that Konami went out and said, yeah, this card works the way it's supposed to, even though per the rules that card is not called a Legendary Ocean anymore. You guys could fucking read. It says a Legendary Ocean in the text box, guys. Come on. Be cool.
Does it count as Yumi went in the deck?
Yes. No. That's the problem. Is that
yes? Legendary Ocean is always treated as Umi.
Oh, okay.
And the same problem of the Harpy Lady, the number of Harpy Ladies counting as Harpy Lady. All of the Legendary Ocean substitutes also have that effect on them. So you can only play a combination of 3 of any of those.
But yeah, I don't actually remember if Zeradius like made it into any decks, but as like basically Captain Gold, like he blows himself up if Sanctuary's not on the field. This is okay, like considering this is pre-terraforming and a lot of other field spell searchers. Having your guy who searches the field spell be a fucking 2100 body if you've already got the field spell, not terrible. And the card art's not bad either. He's like, we didn't really talk about the way Archlord Zerato looked because he sucked so much. But like this guy is kind of like that, but baby.
I don't think Archlord Zerato's bad. His aesthetic is fine. Like, it's Zera again for like all of these cards have the big through line of Zera, aside from Zera the Mant, funnily enough.
Yeah. But so that was kind of the first run of the Zeras, which linked back to Sanctuary in the Sky because they printed Zeradius to kind of lead to it. And Archlord Zerato did require you to have Sanctuary. What this has to do with Parshath, still don't know.
We'll get to there at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah. But there were a handful of the counter fairy cards which would slowly weave into the Sanctuary in the Sky as well. So they loop them all together with the structure deck. First is a card most of you probably know if you played Counter Fairies, Bountiful Artemis.
Which is just, if you resolve a counter trap, draw a card, if I remember right.
Not even if you resolve a counter trap. Every time a counter trap card is activated, immediately after it resolves, draw one.
Oh, every time. So not even yours. Awesome.
Yeah. So just gave Counter Fairies a draw engine. So much so that I'm pretty sure that, like, up until, like, modern Counter Fairy brews in, like, you know, the post-COVID era, you still saw Bountiful Artemis in some decks.
Oh, yeah. Bountiful Artemis basically made Counter Fairies a deck by itself.
Yeah, she came out in
like
Justice, so we were early.
Obviously,
GS.
there's countless more support for it, but Bountiful Artemis was like, oh, this is a deck now. Like this deck does things. Like
yeah, she's a
light
fairy.
It may not have a. Yeah, it may not have a like game like end goal for its plan, but it sure has a game plan, and it's setting 5, something Bountiful Artemis, and just staring a hole in your opponent.
Yeah. If your opponent tries to normal summon something to get over her, Solemn Judgment. No. Oh, I drew one. You're activating spell trap removal? No. Stop that.
Stop that.
You see another guy activating an effect? Divine Wrath.
Yeah, about to say, you've activated an effect while I've been drawing cards? Yeah, Divine Wrath, you're negated?
Get fucked?
You're trying to activate I don't remember when exactly they would have come out, but, like, you know, actually, no, even before shit like Wiretap, you would have had, like, you're activating a trap card? 7 tools. Oh, spell card? Magic Jammer? Cursed Seal of the Forbidden Spell?
Yeah,
you can't activate that spell card? Also, you can't activate any more spell cards with that name?
There's a pretty infinite number of counter traps that, even the bad ones, you were probably playing one of because it was, 1, it was funny, 2, it's like psychic damage to your opponent, and you draw a card. Yeah. If you were playing, like, Counter Fairies, you were the degenerate who was just trying to rile up your opponent.
It was kind of like the predecessor of kind of the one bad day sort of decks, where it's just like, no, my game plan here is to just draw a billion cards and stop you from doing anything and hope that you get tired and go home, because you'll run out of cards before I run out of cards. And it's kind of funny, because I was just going to say, I don't really have a lot to say about Bountiful Artemis's, like, design. This is a style of several Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but she's just kind of like one of those weird, like, esoteric, you know, blob angels. She's just an abstract shape.
Be not afraid.
I do legitimately appreciate that on top of having just like a traditional angelic fairies, we also just have things like this, and also the rest of the heralds that are just things.
Because, like, I mean, you know, her name being Bountiful Artemis, well, yeah, okay, so, like, she's vaguely shaped with, like, tiny waist, huge hips, but those are, like, UFOs filled with crystals. And she's got orbs for hands.
No one's looking at this. No one's looking at this and seeing the tiny waist and going, I could have thoughts about that. No, this is a shape. Like
the thoughts I have is like, why does she have a huge stinger tail? That's, I admittedly I have a thing with like bees and wasps, but like that's where my mind goes. I'm like,
to me, this is like this is a conscious object. It's an object that has thoughts.
Before I remove her, I will say though, killer background, like the sunset and the field, like beautiful for like an early GX card. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, no, the look of Bountiful Artemis is great. Like, if there's one thing you can say a lot of things about fairies. You cannot say that they have bad looks. Definitely maybe bad memories associated with seeing these cards played, but you'll at least be like, damn, this card does look good though.
I'm now getting this weird guy that you've never seen before, probably, like, he looks good. This is Harvest Angel of Wisdom, by the way.
It's starting to make me think about, like, how do I put this?
That makes sense.
Oh, Marvel Asgardian. It feels like these aren't like divine creatures, but they feel like these are like alien creatures that are like resembling divinity.
Also, I want to say this is very funny because there probably should be a comma because this card's name in Japanese is Chi Tenshi Havesto, like it's a proper noun. So the upper deck just went, nah. Actually, this might
That's
be
upper
early
deck, though.
Konami. I don't know. Let me check. What set was this? Was this still enemy? No, this was Strike of Neo, so this was still pre the upper deck lawsuit. So yeah, upper deck is still controlling this.
God,
But
I
yeah,
can't remember like the exact set that it switched over now.
this guy is, like I said, this is a card that you've probably never seen, but this was a very early counter fairy card. This is a level 4 light fairy with 1800 attack that says, when this card is destroyed or battle and sent to the graveyard, target a counter trap in your graveyard, add it back. Honestly, for Strike of Neos, an 1800 beater that when it gets destroyed, you go basically +0, but you plus back, like you recover. Not terrible.
Oh, that's so funny.
Which set is it? What's the set?
No. Unrelated, but related to Harvest. Harvest has a retrain from the Pendulum situation. It's the card that adds a Black Horn of Heaven.
Okay.
What's funny? Harvest Angel of Wisdom is Shi Tenshi Havesto. The retrain is Shi Tenshi or Death Angel.
That's so funny.
They just switched the first character, and it has an entirely new meaning. And then instead of being a cool angel, it's a dark fairy pendulum that adds Black Horn of Heaven instead of setting regular Horn of Heaven or just a counter trap, right?
Yeah, and admittedly, like I guess it's because it is a counter trap, but this guy is holding the Horn of Heaven in his hands. Let me actually.
Oh wait, no! It does both. The regular effect is Horn of Heaven. Pendulum effect is Black Horn of Heaven. That's really cool, actually.
Well, let's go ahead since we're talking about him. Let's grab the original Horn of Heaven real quick, because this Harvest is holding it. You can literally see he is holding the exact same horn. Also, it's funny. We're not quite to 5Ds yet, where I think the orbs really started picking up. But Harvest Angel Angel Harvest is very much an orbman. Like almost all of his joints are ball joints.
It is. I don't dislike it for this because the orbs feel like joints as opposed to just being there.
Yeah.
The orbs have a purpose in this design.
Also, actually, I want to talk about this. This is an interesting case where, like,
purpose.
This is a new thought about Horn of Heaven, but I do want to say shout out to like Upper Deck and probably 4Kids dubbing this card because Horn of Heaven is an old school trap card. They called it Horn of Heaven. Normally we change those. Its literal name in Japanese is Horn of Ascension.
Huh.
So in English we actually got Heaven involved.
Forgive me if I don't know my biblical lore. Don't bad things usually happen when you blow when you blow Heaven's horn? I know I phrased that badly. I didn't mean to, but
yes, I do believe that blowing the trumpets is supposed to be one of the signs of the end of the world type shit.
The end times, yeah.
Usually it's specifically a trumpet.
In other cases, when the angels have blown their horns, bad shit has happened.
Where is it? You've said the words, Vesper. I have to go look for an image now.
Which, of course, and the original Horn of Heaven is a classic counter trap which says, when a monster would be summoned, tribute a monster, negate that summon, destroy the monster. So, tribute one of your monsters, negate your opponent's summon, and destroy it. A classic counter fairies ass counter trap card of just like, no, don't do that. You want to summon a guy? No, you don't summon that guy. He's not summoned. I don't care what you're doing. You're not summoning that guy. And we'll pull Blackhorn out later.
Yeah, found it.
Let me tab back over to Fail Portrayal real quick before I pull out our next Yu-Gi-Oh card. Ah, yes. Trumpeter doots as he pleases. Evil Melody. Let's talk about another guy.
Let's hope LA dies.
Because this is another weird orb angel man. It's Layard the Liberator, who is another counter fairy type card. And he's another guy who's like, he's weird, but he's cool.
Yeah, like this era of the angels, oh my, be not afraid my ass, Christ.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's what I was about to say. This guy with his 6 arms.
his 6 arms, his. Okay, again, like with the orbs, I like. Konami orbs are like the butt of every joke. The orbs in these designs, I think work because they're so like. I don't think non-Euclidean's the right word, but they just have these just inhuman looks to them that the Konami orbs just feel part of the look.
It's part of like how he's just like an abstract shape.
Yeah,
It's like
instead of having a palm.
like the orbs here were like nerve centers and like a fucking object over like in like a fucking like circuitry of an object.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it's like you can't say they're mechanical, but they're definitely like non-organic. But your brain still says, "Oh, there's an orb and there's floating fingers, hand," because that's how like human brains are designed to work. Is you're supposed to spot patterns. So it's a weird case where like.
Orb is... Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say you see a hand, but also then your brain like your higher brain functions go, wait a minute, that's not a hand, that's 5 floating fingers and an orb. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this guy's great. This guy kicks ass. I love that he's like dribbling crystals out of his chest. Unfortunately, this card is like not that good. It's very funny, but it's not as good as Bountiful Artemis. This is a level 4 light fairy that says each time a counter trap is activated, after it resolves, add 2 of your banished fairies back to your hand, which is like cool for like again Enemy of Justice era, like early GX, but not quite doing enough, I think.
Yeah, I think a big problem of a lot of this early counter fairy style of play is like Bountiful Artemis lasting as long as it does, like in terms of meta play, it is a bizarre anomaly. There will always be a handful of cards like that in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like just like regardless of the era. I mean, a good example, like we were just talking about, Dragoon. Dragoon remained like a card that had to remain a thought in the back of everybody's brain for far longer than it probably should have.
All these cards. Oh, these cards just feel like if we actually...
This one feels far more intimidating. Holy shit!
It is. It feels like a judge. But I feel like all these cards would have been like an archetype back in the day if they actually that was a good thing that wasn't just new at the time.
Oh, they probably would have. Like
yeah.
All these cards definitely scream at like a proper archetype.
Well, and all of them have like capital like letters in them. You know, like. Yeah. I mean, no, these are not the first fairies. This is 2006. Like.
Okay.
This is probably the first time fairy had a consistent theme, though. And it's definitely like this is a deck. Counter fairies are a deck. This is Volantis the Adjudicator, by the way. Visper kind of alluded to that earlier.
I was making shit up. I didn't think it.
No, this is Volantis the Adjudicator. Yeah, you said, oh, he's an Adjudicator. Yeah, no, this is him. He's got a kind of name that you remember, but you kind of go, oh yeah, I think I've heard of that card. What the fuck did he look like? He looks like this. He's a weird crystal judge man. No relation to Judge Man or Judge Woman.
This really feels like, be not afraid, you'll be judged according to the law.
I mean, even down to the hand almost not like the hand not holding the staff is almost like gesturing towards the viewer.
Yeah. And this is supposed to be the big boss of counter fairies. This is a level 8 light fairy with 2,800 attack and 1,400 defense. After one of your counter trap cards has been activated and resolved, tribute all monsters you control to special summon this card. If this card is special summoned this way, destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of fairy types you tributed.
That's not bad, but I would say the big problem is while you're getting rid of your board presence that have all of your advantage building just to pop more cards, which if you're playing counter fairies, you probably shouldn't. Your opponent shouldn't have that many cards on the board to pop.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the way this works is like this feels like the card that if your opponent somehow chews through like your 4-set back row and you've got Bountiful Artemis on the board, you go, hey buddy, I've drawn 4 cards. I've drawn into my Volantis. So, when I activate my last counter trap, I summon and pop.
Yeah,
but
it's
this, definitely not a perfect card, but still like decent. Also. If assuming, you're activating counter trap cards, 2,800 body, like, even if you don't pop, he's a big guy with an interesting summon condition.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this card is bad. It's more just like, it's that very niche one of you play as like it's the God what like I'm trying to think I'm trying to think of cards that are related to in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Like just like this is just like this is far before like the full extra deck design of like like nowadays this card would be an extra deck card that would have some bizarre colossus like summoning of resolving a counter trap. It would just be some weird bullshit.
I mean, it's kind of like not perfect, but it reminds me kind of Lord of the Heavenly Prison, right? Because that's a guy you reveal in your hand when you're doing trap stuff. Like you don't even necessarily summon him. You're just like, oh, I resolved the card that was set. Woohoo! Look at my large man.
And Heavenly Prison is just, oh, you can't touch my you can't touch my set cards now.
Yeah. So I'm trying to load the next card. It's taking a second. They don't want to load Synthetic Seraphim. But after that, we'll actually talk about the kind of 4 new guys that were actually released in the original structure deck, because that's kind of where they start to like tie this together. We're like, oh, we put Counter Fairies and Sanctuary in the Sky together.
We've cobbled together these mess of early fairies into something of a deck.
Synthetic Seraphim, who, like, aesthetically is obviously very clearly related here, you can see. Yeah. So Synthetic Seraphim here is a trap card, actually. It's a continuous trap that says each time a counter trap is activated, special summon a Seraphim token, fairy type, it's like, what, level 1? Sorry, this text is, like, super blurry. Yeah, special summon 1 Synthetic Seraphim token, light, level 1, 300 attack, 300 defense. So, like, another, like, interesting advantage engine. Like, just every time a counter trap gets activated, period, you get a token. So even if your opponent is, like, able to, like, solemn your solemn, you're like, ooh, tokens, more tokens.
This is like Angel Ballista bullshit. I love it.
But it's summoning the tokens.
Yeah, he's got guns to shoot the tokens in your enemies. This is like very funny.
Wow.
And he's got like wheel lower body.
We're getting more like we're diverting from like biblical angels to like Final Fantasy angels now, where we're just making shit up.
Both can be true.
Still, like
I mean, and this is literally called Synthetic Angel in the original OCG. You know, Synthetic Seraphim. Love the alliteration. So it's like this weird case of like, this is clearly an actual like mechanical angel, and it produces more. So yeah, another like really interesting weird advantage engine that Counter Fairies got that kind of like I think completes the set. I kind of feel like it probably wasn't played because like Konami didn't realize the inherent problem with playing a continuous trap card in a counter trap deck, which means you have one less back row slot. But it's still a decent concept of like a card that every time you activate a counter trap, you get a token. So that means that you will have, first of all, God forbid if your opponent just keeps normal summoning guys, you know, you won't just lose because you spend all your life points on Solemns, but also you contribute them for larger monsters, such as a Airknight Parshath, that kind of stuff. Like, it's a good concept. I just think that it probably didn't see a lot of play because it is a slightly flawed idea because you don't want to use your back row. So this is the first of the cards that were actually released in the structure deck. Like I said, they were packaged in just Strike of Neos, but this is Meltiel, Sage of the Sky, who was Angel Saint Meltius in the OCG. I think that's a little redundant, Japan. And also, by the way, literally, Angelo Sainto Meltiusu. So just in English, basically, in loanwords, Angel Saint Meltius.
Angel. This is like Gorilla.
Yeah. And certainly design-wise, this is like, yep, that's an Angel.
Yeah, this is much more
It's made of
traditional Angel from the waist up at least. Waist downward is kind of like
I mean, its
crystal?
entire body is made of crystal, so you can see its torso is made of crystal too.
Well, yeah, but like from the waist up, it feels
It
humanoid.
looks like it's just
Yeah.
like a lady. But then you get to the lower and you're like, ah, that's not a dress. That's just oops, all rocks. We're kind of like combining, and it makes sense because this is like the moment they were doing that. But we're kind of like combining the Counter Fairy aesthetic with Parshath's aesthetic because Meltius here has like a blank face mask and a weird tall hat, and like
It
is
does
holding
feel like
a halo.
armor. It does feel like alternative armor to what Parsha would be wearing.
But Meltiel is another Light Fairy level 4 that just says each time a counter trap is activated, immediately after it resolves, gain 1,000. So, like, not as far as Ariadne, the pendulum that just means you don't pay the cost for counter traps, but still giving you life back every time you counter trap. And if you do, if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, destroy a card your opponent controls. Just tempo,
Funny.
tempo, tempo, baby.
Yeah.
Like we're trying, you know. This was a structure deck where we're giving you like consistent plays. You can regain the life you're probably spending. And you get to pop if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the board.
I do like the, I do like the kind of transition into making Sanctuary of the Sky, just like I mean, it already had like some more effects we looked at before, but now it's just oh no, like these cards are good, or at least like solid, and if Sanctuary on the Sky, Sanctuary in the Sky is present, they just win more in a good way and not just and not in the pointless sense.
But we're gonna get a look because this is the first time we got a retrain of Parshath, and he's not off model, but we very much completely changed up his vibes. This is Neo Parshath, the Sky Paladin, literally Neo Perseus, the Sky Brave, or the Angel Brave. Angelo Bravo Neo Parshath. So no longer is he a Centaurman. Parshath is just another Crystal Angel Man.
I've never noticed that with this Parshath. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Also, like, the proportions on his, like, weird Qatar and shield thing are, like, way chunkier now. They look almost like action figure attachments rather than functional weapons. They're just kind of, like,
I don't
globbed on it.
dislike that fully enough. Like it this also kind of makes the shield make, I don't want to say make more sense, but it at least feels less awkward the way he was holding it in the original, where this is just, oh no, this is just bizarre angel thing.
Well, now also he's got
feels-
ball joints on both, so, like, you can imagine that he can, like, articulate those, both of them in any direction.
This just feels like a reboot version.
Well,
like
he is, you
a
know,
rebooted continuity of Parshath.
he is Neo Parshath.
He just looks weird.
Or I
So
guess
this
it's
is
Parshath if you elevate it to like being a Rocky, I guess.
He is a level 7 Light Fairy, 2300 attack, 2000 defense, which is not great for the stats. Because, like I said, they probably should have maybe done a little more, but there's some stuff in here. So you can special summon this card from your hand by tributing an Airknight Parshath. So that is not an additional special summon cost. So you can still be normal summoned or special summoned other ways. But if you have Airknight Parshath, you contribute it to summon this guy. If it attacks a defense position monster, it's piercing. If it inflicts battle damage, you draw a card. While Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field and your life points are higher than your opponent's, this card gains attack and defense equal to the difference. So again, probably because there wasn't a good way to search this guy back in the day, so I don't think this structure deck actually became like a mainstay of the Counter Fairies deck, because the original Airknight Parshath doesn't necessarily synergize with that. But like, this is not a bad card for like cards that are strict upgrades of an original card. You don't have to double tribute him, but you can. You can normal summon him. Or you contribute a single Airknight Parshath. It still is the exact same piercing and draw one. And also, if you have Sanctuary, this card gains attack and defense equal to the difference in your LP and your opponent, which is likely to keep going up. Like, not terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Ugh, sorry. Ugh. It's just kind of like early state of them figuring out this new wave of things, but we're already making good headway towards
Yeah.
the evolution.
And I think they have the setup in mind with the next card, which is a classic. Also, will not be much to say about its art because it's Nova Summoner, which is just a ring.
A thing.
And a ball. It's just a ring. Ring ball. He's full of crystals. But yeah, Nova Summoner's just a shape. Maybe he has eyes.
For some reason I remember this being like... I just remember this being more of like a... I guess when you think it's smaller, it looks like it's more of an actual like spear instead of a ring.
Yeah, no, I could see thinking that, especially because there is the sphere in the center. But no, he's the halo part with a big ball ring.
I've never seen it at this high res. I always thought it was like a spear.
This is also very interesting to think about because this guy's name in the original Japanese is just Calling Nova, so Nova Summoner works. This is a classic card. This is a level 4 Light Fairy, 1400 attack, 800 defense. Not that you care because this is a tutor. This card's destroyed by bounce into the graveyard, special summon a Light Fairy of 1500 or less attack from your deck, so it's just Shining Angel 2. But if Sanctuary in the Skies in your field, you can summon exactly one Airknight Parshath instead. So, again, Nova Summoner absolutely saw play. I don't know how much you actually summoned Airknight Parshath with it, but just literally giving you 3 more copies of Shining Angel, the light tutor anyway, to just summon level 1, or summon level, summon one Light Fairy with 1500 or less.
I don't think it ever really summoned Parshath consistently, because like by the time it was out, Draconeos was still like...
It was like early GX frame. Still. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure Parshath saw some time on... I don't think it was ever banned, but I'm pretty sure he saw some time on the FL list. Which would probably make it... Obviously, this is a cool way to summon him out, but makes it harder to play him in general. But Nova Summoner absolutely saw play, because like I said, this is just another tutor card. It's 3 extra copies of Shining Angel. It goes into Shining Angel goes into it, because they're both light fairies. So it just lets you loop more assholes out of your deck.
I mean, yeah. Anything that gets you more ways to fill up the board, you're never going to go wrong.
Yeah. Speaking of ways to fill up the board, they did get a 2K Defender. That is Radiant Gerald, who is Holy Gerald. Why is he called Gerald? Don't know. There's not even a trivia page, so I can't even ask.
Wait, what is it?
Radiant Gerald, or Holy Gerald. Jeral.
Gerald.
So if there is some trivia, it's apparently not painfully obvious. But he's just another weird guy. Like, he's just kind of a shape. I guess he's more of a guy than, like, Nova Summoner, but still. Just like a weird...
Yeah, this is like Dogu levels of like, design where it's there's a design here, but it's still very much not a
very
fully
abstract,
fleshed out.
This is a cool thing that you, like, dig up at an archaeological dig. You go, ooh, look at this statue. I've decided to call him Gerald. But Holy Gerald here is a level 4 Light Fairy that's got 1,000 attack and 2k defense. Like I said, a 2k defender, all level 4s. When this card's sent to the graveyard, except if destroyed by battle, gain 1,000 life points of Sanctuary in the Skies on the field. Kind of an interesting, like, blocker. You know, if your opponent just spends, like, a smashing ground or something on him, you get life points if Sanctuary's on the field. If it's destroyed by battle, one, you're not losing life points if Sanctuary's on the field anyway, but also that means that they had to beat 2k. It's a cute idea. It feels a little slow. But, you know, they tried. But now we're going to do our favorite thing, which is during late GX, we had the dark versions of a lot of cards. Late GX into early 5Ds, they did this. So we're going to talk about some guys. First, Dark Volantis. He's Volantis, but dark. It's pretty much literally his design. He's just Volantis, but he's purple, black, and red.
And one more jagged.
Yeah, they've switched his spheres to be diamonds.
I do like this look. This is nice with the alt color palette, basically.
Maybe it's weird to say it, but it's got kind of intimidating. It's kind of an intimidating like design.
Yeah, because he's like,
I like
his wings are almost like trap jaws, like they're swung forward.
The
Like
orbs are more like angular gemstones now.
Yeah.
He's just Counter Fairy Dark Magician.
I mean, yeah.
I also love the little like dark starlights in the background. You know, they're almost like a negative image looking thing. That's pretty cool. Anyway, Dark Volantis is just Volantis but dark. You think I'm kidding? No, this is a Dark Fairy level 8 with 2800 attack and 1400 defense, exact same stats. After one counter trap card you control has been activated and resolved, you contribute 1 dark monster to special summon this card. If this card is special summoned this way, destroy 1 card on the field. That's it. He's just Volantis. He only pops 1 ever, but he also only ever needs to tribute 1 dark monster. That's it. That's all he does.
That worked. That's fine, honestly.
Like, especially considering the way Dark is. Yeah, no, you've got a dark version of Volantis. He's still a fairy too, so like there's some funny there. But we also have another very funny one, which is Dark Knight Parshath.
Dark Knight Parshath is a funny little guy.
Yeah, just Dark Perseus in the OCG. So this is a case where they tried to actually make a dark version. First of all, I will say though, you get a much better look at him because it's still just Parshath, but now he's got like anime vampire pretty boy face.
His shield feels like it makes more sense because he's like holding it at an angle that is what you would hold a shield.
He's actually holding it out in front of him. His blade, like, maybe a little short considering he's a centaur man, but, like, no, that still works for him. Like, it all makes sense. His color palette's okay. We were doing the, like, negative dark star effect as well. His face is a little goofy, though, but, you know, we've turned him into an anime vampire man. So, Dark Knight Parshath. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna touch on like you said, like the dark sparkles and all. It is a good look to that. We're essentially inverting the color palette, but it still works.
Yeah, so this is also much like Volantis, just a dark fairy, so we're keeping with that. Still level 5, still 1900 attack, 1400 defense. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can banish a dark from your graveyard, draw 1. This card gains 100 attack for each dark in your graveyard.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's as good as Parshath, but there is an interesting trade-off to the full flexibility of the draw to becoming a pretty big problem because like Dark especially, dark decks all kind of surround themselves around just dumping shit into the grave, even just pure dark and not even the chaos. So
yeah. And this was technically Dark Knight Parshath and even Dark Volantis were like technically early 5Ds. Like actually no, Dark Knight Parshath with Phantom Darkness. So the last GX set, Volantis was Crimson Crisis. So like we are in premium Teledad zone here. So modulating the amount of darks in your graveyard is actually useful because you want to set up for Dark Armed Dragon. So like there's definitely room for Dark Knight Parshath to be played in just oops all dark decks. And like I said, it's a very funny little effect he's got. We also did get we mentioned him previously, but this is when they actually did Dark Lord Zerato, who looks a lot less fucked up than Mazera Deville. He's much more just Archlord Zerato, but dark, like we just did the palette swap. Abs for days, though, man. Really hitting the gym in Heaven Hell.
This just looks rad, honestly.
Not as bad as Deville.
Oh, he's killing it.
Or whatever the
I will
version
say
that was that
there's
had
a
the
weird thing
eyes.
going on with the that was DeVille. There's a weird thing going on with the color shading that you may not be able to unsee. It looks like his loincloth tunic thing is inside the lines between his abs. I think that's just an error with the shadowing. But it's a little weird.
No, I'm looking at it. It's definitely traveling up his body.
It's merged with him, yeah.
So that's a little weird. But the rest of this is pretty cool.
I mean,
he's got flame shoulders.
It's very Liefeld to me because it's the bodysuit is also the body.
It's true. It's literally painted on there. He's got a cool saw-toothed sword blade, which looks a lot like Dark Valantis' wings. He's doing some stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool. So Dark Lord Zerato, Da Tenshi Zerato, Fallen Angel Zerato. And I think this is one of the first set of the actual Dark Lords. Which is this? Is that an episode we've done? I don't think it is. Put it in the list. He's a Dark Fairy, level 8. Same stats as all the other big Zeratos, 28, 23. If you have 4 or more Dark monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can tribute summon this card by tributing 1 Dark monster. So he's not a special, but he is a reduced tribute summon. You can send 1 Dark monster from your hand to the graveyard to destroy a monster your opponent controls. Once per turn during the end phase, if this effect was activated that turn, destroy this card. So he's got a cost, but also again, we've talked about this. Darks just love dumping shit in the graveyard. It's what Dark Greffer and Armageddon Knight are all about. Yeah, he blows himself up at the end of the turn, but he's a 2800 beater and he's a Raigeki.
Sometimes just resetting the board is enough for a card.
Yeah. I think the main reason why I don't think this guy saw a lot of play, and he might have seen some fringe play in Dark Lord decks, is just I feel like he's kind of competing with Dad for the amount of darks you need in Grave. And
that is another thing too.
You have to have 4, and then you have to put at least 2 more because he needs to tribute a dark and send a dark. But still, he's still a Raigeki, and he's still a 2800 guy.
And at the time when when a lot of board rights were just banned and out of the game, sometimes that's enough. Sometimes you're that down bad for a board wipe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like I said, we've started to get into the early 5Ds era, and in the earliest of 5Ds, the very first set with Synchro Monsters, the Duelist Genesis with Stardust Dragon on the cover, we got Synchro Parshath.
Oh, yeah. This asshole.
Avenging Knight Parshath, Holy Knight Perseus. And this is kind of like a combination of original Parshath and Neo Parshath. Because he's still got that weird crystal skin tone, but he's still centaur shaped.
You just gain more crystal to become more body.
And also, you can actually see him using the ball joint for his sword and shield now.
Yeah.
I remember Axe kicking out shit in with this guy.
I
don't remember that.
I don't think I remember summoning this guy once.
Then I must be misremembering, but I just remember it sucked.
Might have been test games, I guess. But
I mean, I think he's a good card, but he's trying. Avenging Knight Parshath here is a light fairy synchro. He's an 8. He's 2600 attack and 2100 defense. So for a synchro 8, does stack up against Stardust Dragon. He is mostly generic. It's 1 tuner and then one or more non-tuner lights. So just need some light monsters. Once per turn, you can target one monster. When face-up monster opponent controls, change its battle position. If a card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. That's it. That's all he does. He whatchamacallit, he switches battle position, and then he pierces.
it's good if you need if you're playing a fairy deck that does synchros.
Yes, Fairy Synchro
But
became
I remember him
another
being
thing.
really annoying to get.
I mean, it was the first set synchro monsters were in, so I think all of them were holofoils of some kind. Let me scroll back a little and check. Yeah, he was a secret in Duelist Genesis, so very rare. But obviously, if you were playing a light deck, this gave you another monster to synchro, and still very, very useful. So they also did a synchro version of Zera. This was a few sets later, but still in the 5Ds era. That guy's just called Angel of Zera. But I think this guy is well known because he's got one of those card arts that you're like, I've seen this before. Because he looks much more like a Magic the Gathering art.
I think it's a Magic artist did this.
Ooh, shit. Sorry, somebody in chat just said, I assume it was for the Synchro Portrayal. Like
oh my god, it's a Magic the Gathering card.
Yeah, it looks like one.
It's something about the coloring and shading.
If only we knew who the artist was.
True.
You know,
This looks like
the shading really just does not give off the Yu-Gi-Oh vibe. It's because I mean, even when you look at like weird Yu-Gi-Oh cards, there's always that anime shading to them. This just has that more realistic vibe that usually you see in Magic the Gathering, even just other trading card games in general.
I will say, it makes you think of if this card came, I think more recently, and Yu-Gi-Oh actually credited their artist, they probably really posted. It's like we got this artist, his name is starting to a guest artist to show up to make this one card art.
I mean, that's probably what they did anyway. But like,
Yeah,
it's a very interesting like photoreal rendering. There are a couple of other Yu-Gi-Oh cards that are like this, but it's pretty rare. I don't want to say it's bad, obviously, because like there's a brilliant use of like shading in the background with like rays of light and stuff. But it's just like one of those cards where you look at this and you go, "This guy looks different. There's something about this that is different."
Nice.
That also reminds me, I forgot to mention it earlier when I was just yapping alone, but at some point we'll have to do, I mean, it'll be in the Fail Portrayal slot, but like at some point I'd love to have a big long episode to talk about the fucking Final Fantasy Magic crossover. They're still not done previewing it because I think it's still like maybe a week before it comes out, but like both art-wise and just theming, they're fucking killing
Lately.
I'm sorry for you.
God, the new pre-con commanders are fun. I've been playing 2 of them. The current one that I love, I did share an image of the final board of the Jeskai, which is blue, red, white.
Damn, okay.
There's some silly cards in there. I ended up with a bunch of little 1/1 monk tokens that ended up, I think, like 11/11 or something. It's silly nonsense.
I feel like a funny thing, besides another funny thing you could do for like on Wednesday streams, besides the one I messaged you that I still want to keep as a secret joke because I think you could still do it one day and be funny.
Yes, I didn't say the bit, but I did read it.
I'm saving that because it's like I think you could do it one day and be fucking hilarious. Because it wouldn't be because the titles of the stream wouldn't be inaccurate.
True.
But I also think for like the Final Fantasy cards, you literally could just do a Wednesday stream where it's okay. So we're gonna talk about the Final Fantasy Magic cards now.
I mean, we could, but that would be much better suited to the Tuesday stream where we do that normally. Than to stop down the Wednesday stream where we normally... most lately, we normally die doing the latest raid tier.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll be back in for... Actually, no. Technically, last week, we just died doing maps and not getting anything. God, treasure maps, it sucked. Anyway, Angel of Zera, though. This kind of continues the theme where I don't know why we exactly decided that 8s was the sweet spot for fairy synchros, but this is another level 8 synchro, another light fairy. He has 28, 23, usual stats for a Zera. This is a completely generic synchro. This was Light of Judgment, which is one of the later 5D sets. So, like, we've kind of gotten over making them specific, but it's still very funny. Gains 100 attack for each of your opponent's banished cards. During the standby phase of the next turn after this card is banished, special summon it back. You can only use this effect once per turn. Cute. Like decent payoff for a Sync 8 deck back in the day.
I'm not really sure why level 8 ended up Synchro's like niche, but
I mean, I think it's probably just.
They were
I'm about to say, I
hard
think it's just
early on.
because it's the same way that like rank 4 ended up the norm for Xyz.
yeah,
It's just the easiest to do because the
2 4s.
yeah 2 4s makes an 8, and 4s usually have the better stat line. Obviously, I think with synchros, Konami got a lot better about just being like, well, if you're playing this is a synchro archetype, the stats don't fucking matter. We'll make the levels matter.
I forget like how many. I'm trying to remember because I think that it was like at least maybe a year worth of stats before they actually like made like level 4 tuners that didn't condition.
I think it was literally like a year, yeah. Like they really did not want to make it easy to summon Sync 8s for a while, and then Konami just gave up and was like, fuck it, all our best synchros are 8s, we'll do it.
I just remember being so hard to get fucking like the Parshap out because it was impossible to get 8.
Well, yeah, and I think
It was like a 5 and a 3, so I needed to zone Parshap first.
I mean, that would be one way to do it, yes. The other way would be if you would do, like, 2-2-4 or something. Like, I assume it was mostly for anime stuff, but in the early days, they really wanted you to make synchro monsters that only required 2 materials with 3 materials. And I'm kind of glad we got over the design space, because it kind of, like, defeats the purpose.
I think the idea was just the way that they stylized the anime, because in the anime, Yusei's whole shtick is that like his whole shtick is that his deck kind of sucks. His deck's ass. He is playing a pile of junk cards that just flood the board to the point where, oh well, I like sure like my boss monster is level 8 and I can't get to that easy, but I can just junk synchron speed warrior, junk warrior, then I summon another synchron tuner, go up into that. It was just he was the ideal synchro combo they wanted, which we wouldn't see for like another decade.
Yeah.
Ironically enough.
So this is Divine Punishment. We may have mentioned it in passing before, but this is the Omni Negate for Sanctuary in the Sky specifically. When a spell, trap card, or monster effect is activated while Sanctuary in the Sky is in the field, negate and destroy, and it is a counter trap. It was released in the Agent structure deck in Lost Sanctuary. So when they kind of like started to bridge Sanctuary in the Sky into Agents, but still, it does mean that Sanctuary in the Sky does have a Omni, which is a counter trap. So like, fairly decent game design.
I mean, like, it's a lot of the specific Omni Negates they put together for God. A lot of the random little Omni Negates they designed just for counter fairies are very fun. Divine Punishment is I think my favorite just because it's the easiest setup, and Omnis are just always fun.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like it's a thing that was like everywhere that is actually like starting to go down in response for like other Omni Negate options, because obviously if you have to set your in-archetype Omni Negate, that doesn't stop hand traps because you gotta wait a turn. But like that was like, I think solidly from like, I want to say from like 2010 to like 2020, and probably even a little further beyond on both sides. There was a solid like 10 years of card design that was just like, well, yeah, and of course, here's your Omni that's in archetype.
Yeah, here's your archetypal Omni Negate, because we don't... basically, because we ban all the Solemns, and we still want there to be, like, negates in the game, so we're just going to give archetypes their own Omni, in the same way that we get some archetypes, like their in-archetype board wipe, or their in-archetype just whatever generic card that was banned at the time. We just gave like, oh, this archetype gets a pot of greed because it needs it.
Yep. Archetype will draw spells, and obviously other stuff like, in archetype, Rhodas and Searchers. And sometimes that's a little tiring, but I honestly I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks are usually more interesting when they do that way. This was one of my mini rants before people got in. I was talking about how I feel like I've bell curved on hand traps. When I first started getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh, in the COVID boom, I was like, what the fuck is this hand trap shit? You ashed my one normal summon, now I can't play the game, and then it's like, no, I understand now. You need interaction going second, because if your opponent can just do everything going first, then you lose. And now I'm in the phase of okay, so we need interaction going second. Hand traps suck, though. I don't like them because I have to draw them out of my deck, which means something I've heard MBT saying a lot is the Balatro-ass hand. I've also heard Danny say it, where you get, you draw 3 of your hand trap, and you're just like, well, that shit sucks. I have literally drawn all 3 imperms, going first, and it's been like, well, what the fuck am I going to do with this? I needed those 3 cards to be combo pieces. And it's just I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a lot more fun when we get our interaction in archetype, because that means that you usually have to be playing specific sorts of decks to do it. And you still have options, but also you have less dead cards. Say what you will about the way the tier format went. Tier Limits as kind of this turn 0 deck was very interesting, because even if you were going second, you would start making plays and setting up. And I think there are several other decks that do that. And some more we got around the corner. I think both Dragon Tail and K9 do that out of the upcoming deck build pack. Yummy doesn't have a turn 0, but that's okay. They're just delicious. This card's kind of small. Let me make
the weird thing I was going to say is that maybe we just need skills.
I just don't think that we're way too far into Yu-Gi-Oh! For them to introduce this shit.
Skills are cute, but also just game design wise, Speed Deal showed I think that Konami also can just fuck that up, because there are some skills that are cool or centralize your entire deck, and then there are some skills that are just bad. There are bad skills. And
not to mention,
in Duel Links, there are broken skills. There are skills that are way too good.
Yeah, not to mention the broken skills that were to such a degree that they had to errata them. A famous one being the Arcana Force one, or Sartorius's, where it was where it was if you have X number of cards with a coin flip effect, you could start with Light Barrier, or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
Or no, your first 3 guaranteed coin flips will be heads. It was something.
Yeah. So, this is our next infamous piece of counter fairies. They didn't really, as far as I could tell, with searching related cards and themes, they didn't really try and do anything with counter fairies. Actually, let me see if I can get this a little better resolution. It's kind of chunky. There we go. That's a little cleaner. They didn't really try and do anything with counter fairies throughout the Xyz era. But when we get to the Pendulum era, they added an important new piece of tech, which is this card, Guiding Ariadne, who was the first ever fairy pendulum.
And will not be the last.
Nope. So this is a light fairy level 4, pendulum scale 3,
this one
700
just
attack.
lets you activate counter traps to turn their set or something, if I'm remembering right?
No, it's got 2 effects. Its pendulum effect is apply these effects, don't pay LP for counter traps, do not discard to activate counter traps. So just counter traps don't have a cost.
It avoids the cost.
And then its monster effect is if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, reveal 3 counter traps from your deck, your opponent gives you 1, shuffle the rest back in.
Oh, it's Pantheism. Awesome.
Yeah. No, so its monster effect is if this card is destroyed. Keep in mind that's not by your opponent's card, so you can set up ways to destroy it yourself. You show your opponent 3 counter traps and they give you 1, which could be the same counter trap. Or just pick 3 different named Solemns and make your opponent cry. Do you want to give me Strike, Warning, or Judgment?
Or do you want to give me Strike? Because you're going to give me Strike if I just reveal 3 Strike.
Yeah. But also, like, in previous eras, solemns have been, banned or limited. But even still, just being like, pick your poison, motherfucker. And then the pendulum effect is crazy. Just like, you know what? We've decided what the problem with counter fairies is. Counter traps have a cost. What if counter traps didn't have a cost? And I distinctly remember when they revealed Dinomorphia, people were, like, worried that, like, guiding Ariadne would, like, break them. That was not a problem. It turns out the problem in Dinomorphia is that, as usual, Konami decided that deck was underperforming, so what they did was give them a skill drain that was inversely proportional to how much life point you had, so you just didn't care that you went down to 1 life point. Which sucks, by the way. Dinomorphia was super cool exactly until they printed Rexstrom.
Yeah.
Then it just became, they make a skill drain and you can't do anything because it negates all monsters who have more attack than you have life points, and by the time you're making Rexstrom, you're usually at least at 2k, if not lower. And it's just like...
Yeah, speaking of giving cards archetypal cards, why is skill drain, like, the big one? Like, why? Why skill drain?
Yeah, I don't know. I and I know MBT has a meme about it, but he has a meme about it for a reason.
Give him a skill drain. Yeah, I mean,
the new thing is, stop printing AFD, but, like, his previous run of that joke was give him a skill drain, and it's like, why do we do that? Why is Konami's shortcut to, oh, this deck is bad and can't play through interruption? What if your opponent couldn't interrupt them because all their monsters are negated? And it's like, well, no, Konami, that doesn't do that. That's not what skill drain does. What that does is you turbo out the skill drain and then just... you win because your opponent can't do anything. It's not that they can't interact, they just can't do anything. It's God forbid why I, like, almost always play spot removal in my decks, even if it's not the most optimal, because, like, just, you never know when your opponent's gonna play a back row floodgate or a front row floodgate, and just, you're like, well, if I don't get rid of this guy, I can't play the game, so I guess I just lose.
Yeah, it is just a case of, like, well, guess I'll die.
And I do not know why. I do feel like they do it less, but they still do it sometimes, where they'll just be like, oh, this deck is suffering, we'll just give them a big asshole who negates effects. And I don't know why they do that. But next, we did get some support I mentioned. Let me see when this actually dates from. This is Minerva, Scholar of the Sky. Okay, so now we're actually in the structure deck. This is the early Link era, and we're like, okay, counter fairies. We're gonna bring them together. And they added a couple of new monsters and spell cards here. Minerva's okay. She's just a wizard angel.
Yeah,
I feel like we're losing a little of the abstraction.
I don't think I like this as much as all the others because it feels too. I don't want to say too human, but like just like the look feels like we're obfuscating way more of the bizarre angelness than we have been. I just don't think it works as well. Weird.
Yeah, we've added an even bigger hat. Like, she's got, like,
it looks
high,
like even have the ball joint hands. Even, like, she has the ball joint, like, on her arms, but her hands are just normal. It's weird.
Yeah, no, they're normal so that they can, like, grip the staff and the book. It's one of those cases where, like, I definitely feel like the design is... I don't want to say if safer is the right word, but it does feel like that. We're more restrained, which means that we're less interesting. This is just much more... This could be any card. If it weren't for the fact that it does have green balls and, like, a halo.
I find it hilarious. Just, like, welcome to this magic angel-looking thing. They've also got a glowy hula hoop.
Yeah, she's got a halo. Several of the other cards in Counter Fairies have this halo, but it is kind of, like... You're right in that, like, I think that's the only way you can tell that this is supposed to be in that setup. But this is another level 4 fairy with 1700 attack, 400 defense. Each time a counter trap is activated, immediately after it resolves, this card gains 500 attack. If it does and Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, add a counter trap with a different name from your graveyard to your hand. For 2018, you know, trying to kind of, like, recapture the magic of, like, Bountiful Artemis, not terrible. Gains 500 attack. permanently, forever. And then if you have Sanctuary, it lets you recycle your counter traps. It's okay. It feels like a win more card. Like, you already have to be in a position where you've set some really good counter traps where this will start to pay off. And unless you're, like, discarding them for cost, that effect isn't even going to pay off until you've activated a second counter trap, right?
I think this is, like, fine for the most part, because realistically, even if you just activate one counter trap card while this card's on the board, it becomes a 2200 normal summon.
Yeah, that's still pretty solid.
Not to mention, like the Sanctuary in the Sky allowing you to just reset. It, like, on paper feels like a win more card, but like going down the list, this definitely feels like something that was a part of like the only problem that I see with playing these more adjacent cards in a proper counter fairy deck is just the more cards you play like this, the less counter traps you're playing. But I guess with Minerva being able to recycle, it skirts that line where it's probably playable.
I think the primary problem actually with counter fairies so far is they have a normal summon problem. Like, you're playing a counter trap deck, so it's not like you could play Valhalla to just special summon an extra fairy, but that means you're permanently sucking up one of your back row slots, you know? And you have to put a field spell slot for Sanctuary in the Sky to get a lot of these, so it's like, how are you getting, like, a Bountiful Artemis and a, Minerva out on the board? Never mind that, like, now we're in MR5, so you've technically lost one of your slots if you're playing Guiding Ariadne, which you probably still would, because I think, like, the Guiding Ariadne is just a good card, because she means you don't have to pay LP or discard, you know?
Yeah, no, like, Ariadne and Artemis were... I mean, like even with Ariadne kind of, like, replacing the slot, you still played Artemis because of draw.
Yeah. So it's just, like, one of those cases of, like, how are we getting all these guys out on the board? I'm not sure. But we also got... even bigger Christia, Sacred Arch Airknight Parshath, Angel Paladin Arch Perseus. His name gets more ridiculous. Now, Parshath has fully become a Bayonetta boss.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh yeah, it has. Oh, we just got. I never noticed the face on the.
Yeah, no. So
bottom.
he doesn't have a horse bottom anymore. His bottom is a large face, made of very shiny crystals.
It would connect to a giant, even larger body, and be called like something like Honor or something, because it'd be a virtue.
He's got like his halo, and then he's got like a weird headdress around his giant head. It's not bad.
Yeah,
it's just he's rapidly reaching the critical mass of oops too much detail that Yu-Gi-Oh cards get.
I think what this is at is fine.
Yes.
Like you can look at this, parse all the details. You can just recognize this is a Parshath card. This is a card in the Parshath line. There's nothing like wrong with it, but we're right on the cusp.
Yeah,
right there.
we're especially with like the little like diamond sparkles he has. We're like I feel like this card isn't too far, but I definitely feel like this card is pushing it. Like, we are rapidly approaching the limits here. So this is a level 9 Light Fairy, 2800 attack, 2300 defense. If you activate a counter trap card, or if you negate the activation of a spell trap card or monster effect, except during the damage step, you can banish 2 other fairies from your hand, field, or graveyard. Special summon this card from the graveyard, if it was there, or your hand, even if not. If this card attacks defense position, do piercing. When this card inflicts battle damage, add a Parshath card or a counter trap from your deck to your hand. Just any counter trap. So honestly,
do whatever you want.
This card's good. Activate a counter trap or any kind of negation. Banish 2 fairies from anywhere to special summon this guy from hand or graveyard. Pretty solid. I think the main thing is just that, like, this is 2018, so, like, your boss monster being a guy who does piercing damage and then searches a card isn't enough. It's really weird that, like, this is actually, I think, for Konami, very restrained design. Because this guy, like, reads like a boss monster, but he's not. This is another extender. Like, this is a guy who gets you more cards. He keeps feeding you counter traps. And it's like, that's interesting to me. But also probably why I don't think this deck, like, super took off from this structure deck.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of just like the strange just like I don't know, like there's so much to the Parshath line that is interesting, but Lord, like we're just trying to invent the wheel over and over again.
Yeah, we're just like at this point, I do like that Konami respects that the original Parshath thing is piercing and doing card advantage. We're so married to that concept now. This guy who should probably have an effect like when he does battle damage, pop a card or like something else is like, yes, when you inflict battle damage, add a counter trap from your deck to your hand. And it's like, why would I do? I'm attacking with my giant guy. Adding a counter trap's not going to be helpful. Like, it's funny that he's easy to summon, but yeah. And then also we've got another trap card that does something here.
You could add Rebirth of Parshath, which is a counter trap that's also a Parshath card.
True, which we have just pulled up on screen. So, like, you've got strategy. It's just one of those cases where I think it's a little weird. So, Rebirth of Parshath here is a counter trap that says, when a spell trap or monster effect is activated, reveal a counter trap in your hand, discard a card, pay 1,000 LP. So do everything to negate that activation. But if you do, shuffle that shit back into the deck. Then you can special summon a Parshath from your deck or extra deck.
Now imagine you have Guiding Ariadne on the board. All you have to do is reveal a counter trap.
Yes, I feel like this card was written with the idea that you would still be playing Guiding Ariadne. So, like, there's probably like a 50% chance that you're just not doing the discard or pay 1,000. So go ahead.
I think it's just one of those things. Sorry, I think it's just one of those with counter traps where Guiding Ariadne just has to be a factor now when you're designing like impactful counter traps like this that aren't super in archetype nonsense.
Yeah. And I think that is a correct assumption for the game designers to make, because I literally talked about how people were like, oh yeah, you can play Guiding Ariadne in Dinomorphia, then you don't have to pay after your life points. Like, it genuinely had been like almost 10 years since Guiding Ariadne came out when Dinomorphia came out. People's first thought was still, ooh, Guiding Ariadne.
Sure, you can do that, but also that defeats the purpose of playing Dinomorphia.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, that was I'm just saying that was everybody's first instinct was like, oh, yeah, we can do Guiding Ariadne. Then like you actually get the deck and you go, oh, we don't want to play Guiding Ariadne because actually you want to pay down your life points.
We want to be at 1 life point.
Yeah, the whole point is that you end up with a funny number like 12 life points.
Yeah. Like, this is
that said, even yes, it has a shitload of costs, but like I feel like Rebirth of Parshath is pretty worth it. Yeah, because this is a mean as hell negate. Because it's an Omni that is shuffle it back into the deck, and also you get to summon a Parshath from your deck or extra deck. So just Neo Parshath, big ass Parshath.
And it's an Omni spin and free body. Yeah, I discard a card and pay 1K for that. Like people pay 15K for Solemn Strike that was just a regular Omni. 1,000 life points for all that is not that bad.
So like, and this is another reason why like, this is like genuinely, I'm looking back at this, like I feel like we are really another like wave of like retro support from like a Parshath Counter Fairy deck being good again. I think. Like,
I think that'd be fun.
We already have Are there two Parshath things or just the one?
The Night Lord Parshath, the link took a while for them to come out, so
all cards on the table. What do you think would be a new version of Counter Fairy cards?
I mean,
I'm not
honestly,
really good on.
I think the simplest version is, I said before, I think the deck has a normal summon problem. Probably just a counter fairy that, like, reveal a counter trap in your hand, special summon this card, and then it does something when summoned or on the board.
Or just something as simple as give you one more normal summon for a light fairy or just for a fairy monster, you can normal summon one more for your, like, a Tenki.
Yeah.
Or something. like, or Tensu, I mean.
I need to double check it, but like, I could see, considering how like people talk about how, like you could just make a rogue deck have insane shit. So it's like, why did I card that's like on summon, or no, I think a normal summon or on special summon, or like once per turn. It'd have to be a hard once. Summon a level 4 light fairy that mentions basically mentions a counter trap or a sanctuary in the sky from deck.
Honestly, yeah, that probably wouldn't be crazy. Yeah, like I think the real cracked shit would be the equivalent of like something to like the labyrinth furnitures or labyrinth butler, like something that's like set a counter trap from your deck and you can activate it this turn type shit. Like let you start doing turn 1 plays.
Some fair welcome nonsense.
Yeah.
Why not?
Because those are all normal traps. So like something that lets you activate your counter traps right away, so you don't. Again, so you can avoid hand traps and like your opponent need be doing your board or something, or
let
just
normal
be
traps
ready to
be the
play on
fiends thing. Let normal traps be fiends, and let counter traps be fairies.
But yes, there is a second Parshath spell trap as well. This is Sanctum of Parshath, which is a continuous spell. This is another one of those cards that becomes Sanctuary in the Sky while it's on the field. We talked about at least one more of these, and I may mention it again. I don't remember. I'm not looking at the list right now because I have different window, but there's also another one for a couple for agents that do that. But Sanctum of Parshath is Sanctuary in the Sky while it's on the field or in the graveyard. Fairy monsters gain 300 attack and defense. Set spell traps can't be destroyed by card effects, and neither player can target them with card effects. Once per turn, if you can target a total of 3 fairy monsters or counter traps with different names in your graveyard. Place them on top of your deck in any order. So like for a structure deck card, this card's technically searchable, because it has a Parshath name, so you can search it off of the big Parshath. It becomes Sanctuary in the Sky. It level modulates. It protects back row. It has the ability to stack fairies and counter traps. This is pretty good support. I think the main thing is just that it's a continuous spell, so it takes up your back row. So basically, this got replaced by Lord of the Heavenly Prison.
Yeah.
That's fair. Also, I'm looking at the list of cards, and it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, a card that just says summon level 4 light fairy that mentions counter traps from deck is perfectly fine. There's at least like 8 targets.
Yeah. And I guess we'll see what the crew's opinion is if we've finally stepped over the too far, because as I did mention, there is one more Parshath who's actually a Parshath. It's the Link version.
I did
Celestial
perceive
Nightlord
it.
Parshath.
I have one problem with it, but aside from it, I don't mind it. I have one big problem with it.
I'll need to see it.
He is appearing now through the latency.
It's
Now
very
does
Sleipnir.
everyone else see the problem with this card that I'm perceiving?
It's Sleipnir. It's got 7 legs.
No, he's got 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
Okay, no,
it's
8
8
legs.
legs.
He's got 4 legs on both sides, which if I just
He's
cover
that
my hand
movie.
over his legs, he's great.
He's an 8-legged freak.
There's definitely
Get
something
in the
wrong
shoe.
about the spot where his torso is like turned and the direction his legs are facing. Like,
Yeah,
I think the artist lost track of where the lines are, like the directions these are supposed to be facing in.
Yeah, it does feel like the perspective is totally fucked because like you can see from the right side it vaguely looks fine, and then you look on the back and you're just like, where did these
So like he's facing like this way, chat, and then but he's got legs that are like here and here, and then one that's doing this.
He has like I would say his most legs are like I think a bit too much, or I think it's the angle is just fucking weird.
He's got like
it's
a
definitely
through,
the
it's like,
angle,
it's bad.
but the angle has completely fucked this.
Yeah, this is another case of the classic perspective problem that Yu-Gi-Oh cards have, which is the card art's about the size of a postage stamp when you're done. So the artist wants to make sure that you can see that he's got, Sleipnir-ass legs. But that means that you have to draw all those legs in such a way that they don't fucking make sense. Because he's got a tail like back here.
You have to fit all 8 legs into the picture, so the person with the card can tell it has 8 legs. And sometimes that's just really hard to fucking do.
Yeah.
I more don't like actually how like kind of loose fitting like his weapon, his armaments look to his like they're just like kind of like floating around his orbits.
Yeah, they're kind of pivoting weird. I also I'm pretty sure that's still the shield, but it also kind of looks like his other arm is a gun now. Like, it's just kind of like a weird generic shape. It's...
Yeah.
I don't know if it's quite... He stepped over the too much detail phase, but, like... He's definitely, like, busy, and he's weird. His legs are weird.
This feels like it'd be more coherent as a 3D model.
Definitely, if you could, like, see him in 3D and have him oriented, it would probably be better. So this is Celestial Night Lord Perseus, aka Celestial Night Lord Parshath. They made Night Lord all one word in English for some reason. This is a Fairy Link 3. He's got 2400 attack. He's just got all the bottom row arrows. He is a fairly generic Link. He's just 2+ fairy monsters. You can discard a card, add one Sanctuary in the Sky, or a card that lists it in its text from your deck to your hand. Or if Sanctuary Sky is already on the field, you can just add any fairy instead. If another fairy monster you control is sent to the graveyard, except during the damage step, banish your fairy from your graveyard, special summon a fairy from your hand whose level is higher than the banished monsters. You can only use each effect once per turn. I think I see occasionally this guy's still teched into fairy lists.
I mean, it's your game.
He's a
It's like a
good
Link
Link
3 doing counter fairies.
Well, that's the thing. He's not really a counter fairy playmaker. He sets up Sanctuary in the Sky, which obviously has some counter traps that work with it. Because it would let you search. It would let this lets you search both Rebirth of Parshath and the Sanctuary in the Sky Omni Negate already, because that mentions Sanctuary in the Sky in it, etc. So like, this gives you plays. This is a very good use of the add a card that lists it or the card itself, and then also I love the redundancy. And if Sanctuary in the Sky is already on the field, just search any fairy instead. Discard one, add a fairy. So like that's good. And I do like the for fairies especially because they have a lot of high level monsters. You know, a lot of play with like Trias Hierarchia, just the card that's just called Athena. You know, like just if a fairy you control is sent to the graveyard, or another fairy you control sent to the graveyard, banish a fairy from your graveyard, special summon one from your hand. Like, great way to unbrick yourself. I think honestly the problem is just again that this is like another significant extender in the Sanctuary in the Sky Parshath like loop. You're still kind of playing a control deck or like a stun deck where like the crux of your plays is you know play a lot of counter traps. The problem I feel like with Parshath is like if you're gonna make a big ass fairy link, you could probably just put an extra monster on board and just make a format Apo. You know, when that was legal.
It's one of those situations of, like I said before, the problem of counter fairies is that the more monsters you play, the less counter traps you're playing, and this requiring 3 mats, or at the very least, like I mean,
2+ fairies,
sure,
so you gotta make
at
least a link.
If you're feeling cheeky,
link.
you can shove in a Venus and 3 Shine Balls to try to make this work, but that's still 4 to 6 slots you're devoting. Just one of those. I don't know.
And again, like we've said, while there are other fairy decks that special summon, counter fairies does not have a lot of summon extension. Like most of them that summon themselves are cards like the bigger Parshaths, which summon for a cost. They have to like tribute regular Parshath or like banish 2 fairies. So it's like, cool, you've built this engine. How am I putting 3 fairies on the board? You know, do I just hard draw Venus and summon some Shine Balls? We can do that, but like you said, then we're wasting slots in the deck on cards that don't do anything other than make a Link summoning engine, which there are decks that are better at. Like, honestly, as much as I'm a little loath to say this, the Link monster that Sanctuary in the Sky needed was just a Link one that just searches Sanctuary in the Sky. Like, that would probably give the deck a lot more juice than a Link 3 who can discard 1 to search Sanctuary in the Sky and do all this other shit.
Yeah, it's messy. Like, I like the concept because it's still playing into the old school Sanctuary in the Sky cards. Like, oh well, if you have it on the board, you get more out of it. Like, it's a cool homage to the old school effects. But in practice, it just comes off at this very big, unwieldy fairy monster that you're probably just not playing in the deck that it's built for.
And especially, like, this Parshath, the Link Parshath, was released in Dual Overload, the set with all the broken ass fucking links. Like compared to like Hulk and King Gilgamesh, Wise Strix, even shit like just whatchamacallit, like Relinquished Anima, right? This card's crazy. You want to talk about Link 3s that are crazy good? Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, Selener came out in this. The Link 3 Selene. Crazy good card for spellcaster decks. Like, and it's just like, okay, Parshath, you're cool, but like, damn, you're a Link 3 in a deck full of Link 2s that are crazy good. Hell, even the Link 3s in this deck are usually busted, like Selene, like Auroradon. This is where Auroradon was first released. And it's just like, he's cool. He's not that cool. You know? Like, we were, and I know that like a lot of the links in Dual Overload were like peppered out in other sets in the OCG, but for the TCG it's like, okay, cool, you've released a Link Parshath. That's really neat. You're also releasing him in the same set as, like I said, DDD King Gilgamesh, Wise Strix, Halkifibrex, Union Carrier, and you know, to set up that Link setup was in there. Ancient Gear Ballista, if we're talking about in-archetype Link 2s. Echidna. Artifact Dagda. Verte. It's just not the same, chat. It don't hit the same. So it's a shame. And yeah, I think honestly, Parshath, what I would do instead would be a Link 1, maybe a Link 2 that just searches Sanctuary in the Sky, or a card that mentions it. Because you have a lot of normal summons you can convert. But let's check in with I believe, our last entry in the Zera saga. A very funny guy who you may have forgotten was Zera-related, but is indeed one, because it's Al Ghul Marzera.
All right. What about Raish?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Raz. Or how...
I've heard it both ways. Genuinely, I've heard it both ways.
I've always preferred Raish.
I'm pretty sure they write it with a squiggle over the S, so yes, I think Raish is probably closer.
From what I remember, it's R-A-apostrophe-S. It's odd.
Yeah, that's right. There's a weird... So there probably should be like a glottal stop or something in there, but anyway. Al Ghul Marzera is the zombie version. He's a level 8 Earth zombie. He's got the same giant Zera stats, 28, 23. He doesn't require Zombie World to be on the board, but you'll play him in the Zombie World deck. If a zombie you control will be destroyed by battle or card effects, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard. Instead, if this card's banished from your hand or graveyard, you can special summon it in defense position, reduce its level by 1. You can only use each effect once per turn. This guy, I hate this guy. This guy's annoying as hell. So he's a good card.
I like the thing about it. This feels like if this guy just dies and then basically wakes up in zombie world, he becomes this, because it's a whole different sword, and like the thing in his chest is all like this fucking pulsating core thing.
Yeah, his little dress gem is different. He's got a different sword. His horn is broken, but he's still Zera.
The little like gem is almost like it looks like it's almost like corrupting his body.
It's like it's what resurrected him or something.
In the same fashion that whichever one of that I think it's Mazera Deville that had the face on it.
Yeah, it was Deville. And you can see the soul-absorbing bone tower in the back, so you know he's in the zombie world.
He is the zombie. He is the zombie man.
But like I said, this card, if you're playing against a zombie deck, annoying as hell. Just when a zombie would be destroyed, banish it from hand or graveyard instead. If it's banished, special summon it at -1 level on a 28, 23 body. It is a hard once on both those effects, but it's just free mats, man. We did get a couple other of cards to wrap up the Sanctuary in the Sky. The first is another card that probably people haven't seen a lot of because it was a very obscure printing. It was in just Ghost from the Past Second Haunting, because I think it was a like V-Jump promo or something. Oh no, it was from the structure deck R, Lost Sanctuary. The Sanctuary retrain, which we didn't get. So, actually, to put a capstone on this, so we didn't get the original Parshath Counter Fairy structure deck. That got bullied in the Strike of Neos. But we did get the original Agent structure deck in the TCG. So we got the retrain of the Counter Fairy structure deck in the TCG, but we did not get the retrain of the Agent structure deck in the TCG.
Of course.
Makes sense. Perfectly sensible. This is called The Chorus in the Sky. It shows...
it's both Sanctuary and Chorus, Angelic Chorus or whatever. That's cute.
It shows Archlord Zerato, or somebody who looks like Archlord Zerato in a different hat because he's purple. But it's got the cherubs from Chorus in it, and it's got the Sanctuary in the Sky and some other stuff. So this is a normal card that says, pay 1,000 LP, target a fairy in your graveyard, add it to your hand. If Sanctuary in the Sky is in the field or in either graveyard, add one of your banished Sanctuary in the Sky or one of your banished cards that mentioned it back to your hand. You only activate one Chorus per turn. So just gets back your Sanctuaries, gets back a fairy. Cute, but not essential.
I mean, yeah, that's again that at this point that's like 60% of the cards we've talked about for the fairies, because it's just
it's so funny to me
I
that
don't want to say that it's a misunderstanding of design aspects. They definitely had an idea of what they wanted Counter Fairies to do. I think just the problem is, I guess to bring us full circle to our conversation at the start of the stream, it's like Hero and Galaxy and every other enemy archetype. You can keep making cards for them, but if they are not better than the old cards you've made, people will not play them. And majority of the cards they made for, like, specifically with counter fairies in mind, just did not end up busted enough to include over another Solemn or another just random counter trap.
Yeah, it's a weird case where, like, what I was gonna say earlier was, I feel like they're trying to do all the normal support stuff you would expect with counter fairies, like Chorus in the Sky lets you add back a fairy in your graveyard and add back a Sanctuary in the Sky if it's banished. You know, normal shit like that, normal recovery stuff. The problem is that if you're playing counter fairies, that's not what you're doing. You're not playing a game of, like, normal linear combos and then recycling. You're playing a game where you ideally set a bunch of cards in your back row and then gain advantage when you activate them. So it's like, you don't need to recycle. Either, these days anyway, either you flipped, 4 or 5 counter traps on your opponent while they were playing and have won the game, or you you solemned 3 times, you have like 1k life left and your opponent just cowboys you. Like, that's it. I feel like with counter fairies, the way the game design space is just there is no in between. Either your plan worked and you countered your opponent's play enough that they just have to give up and go home because they can't out-tempo you, or it didn't work and you die. And honestly, I think that the reason why this Counter Fairies deck isn't really played is because it's more likely the second, where you don't out-tempo your opponent and die, because Counter Fairies in Control can be very respectable, but it lacks a critical design feature called winning the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you just flip 5 Solemns, you don't win. The game's not over. And in fact, if your opponent just waits until time is called, they win.
You can flip 5. You can flip 5 counter traps, draw 5 cards, be at 500 life points, and you will be no closer to winning the game because you didn't actually accomplish anything. Like, sure, you drew a lot of advantage, and maybe a decade ago that was really good. I mean, it was really good. Like counter fairy was played in early Pendulum.
Yeah. Because, like, Ariadne, gives you the opportunity to not pay yourself down to 500 life points. She's still not a searchable card in this engine? Like they made ways to search her, but not ways that you're playing. Yeah. Like, they've tried to, like I said, Konami has built a lot of support for counter fairies, like you would build support for a normal deck, but you don't play counter fairies like a normal deck. It is an old school style of control and advantage deck where you just stop your opponent's plays and out-tempo them, and that we're at a phase where, like, just flipping 4 Solemns isn't enough. Most of your opponents will go, okay, pretty cool move. Yes, you've stopped on my plays. You better kill me this turn, because I'm going to do it again my next turn. You can't do it again your next turn. You've paid all your life points, bub. You do
Yeah,
not.
it's
Even if you drew 5 cards, you don't have 5 more cards in your deck that win the game this turn. I'm going to kill you.
look for the most extreme of examples. Say you're playing counter fairies against like Ryziel or just Ryziel Blade. Sure, you stop their full Ryziel combo. You've drawn 5 cards. If you didn't draw 5 more Solemns or a way to kill them, they're just going to do their full combo again next turn because they will find a way to do it, and then you're fucked.
Yeah, it's just a case of like the negating plays is good. I don't want to say it's not good, but it does not intrinsically end the game immediately. The reason why like decks that like make a big guy and set 5 work is usually because you make a big guy and then set, you set a lot of Solemns because you're adding and searching cards throughout your combo. So, you combo to make a monster that's worth protecting, and then you also go, oh, and I've set like 3 back row, so like good luck removing my guy and also not dying when I attack you for 3k.
Yeah, good luck, fucko.
You can hypothetically like search and summon the big Parshath, the 28 guy, by like just banishing any 2 fairies from anywhere. That's still only like a 3-turn clock, and he doesn't have any protection on his own. He's only 28, so like you're really trusting that like in like 3 turns of just punching them with a big guy, your opponent is not going to out-tempo your Solemns. So it's just kind of a weird case where like it's cool, but they could do more. This is our final Sanctuary in the Sky card to talk about. This is the Sacred Waters in the Sky. I think we did talk about this when we did Agents, because it's also an Agent card, but it's also a Sanctuary in the Sky card, and this is probably the closest they've come to just the card that does everything. This says, Sacred Waters in the Sky says, activate 1 Sanctuary in the Sky directly from your deck, or add a monster that mentions Sanctuary Sky from your deck to your hand. Then, Sanctuary Skies on the field or in either graveyard, gain 500 for each Hyperion or Agent monster you control. If your monster that mentions Sanctuary in the Sky would be destroyed by battle, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. You can only use each effect once per turn. So we're trying to, like, fully bridge Agents and Sanctuary together. There was already a little work like that. But this does still, like, either add Sanctuary in the Sky, like, activate it directly. You can't Ash this. Actually, no, you can still Ash this, though, because it's an Aura effect that adds a monster. So, like, it's a really weird case where they tried to write around Ash, but it doesn't actually work because this card can still just add a monster from your deck to your hand.
Now, the forever problem of Ash, I don't mind Ash as a card, but boy, Ash is just like, I think MBT used this term a load-bearing card in many a format up at this point.
Yeah, like Ash isn't actually a terribly designed card. It's just I think the problem is that when they built her, they just didn't know what they were doing. Like, they'd had a couple Ghost Girls that were very specific. So Ash's effects are like summon from deck, add from deck to hand, and send from deck to graveyard, I think. And
It just ended up having the 3 effects that ended up the load-bearing keystones of so many, like, combos.
And the way she's worded is, like, if your opponent activates an effect that could conceivably do any of those things, activate this and negate. So, like, not even if you're activating the effect that does that. So, like, they probably could, like, do something to, like, retrain or break up Ash into different effects. I don't think she's the worst. Like, genuinely, there have been formats before where Ash has been played a lot less. Like, obviously that doesn't happen in Master Duel because you have Maxi and the Mulch Armies. But, like, if those cards weren't played in Master Duel, I bet Ash would probably reduce a little because, like, she's good, but... And, like, it's the same kind of in the TCG where, like, Ash is really good in some formats, but in other formats it's like, oh, you ashed my... Oh, no, you've ashed my 1 Ryziel search activation. Your opponent turns, reveals their hand as 4 more Ryziels. They're just like, you're still dead, bub. You can only ash once per turn. I get to do this 4 more times. You're cooked. So, like you said, she's a weird load-bearing card, but it's just so funny the way, like, her effect is worded is such, like, the first pass of that thing. And, like, honestly, like, the Mulch Armies are, like, brilliantly designed hand traps. They only can be activated if you control no cards, so they only work going first, or when your opponent's going first. Like, you know, you can't do them after you've already gone. And God forbid if your opponent does just, like, figure out a way to, like, convert all their monsters into, like, a format Apo or something, and they, like, shrink their board state down, you do have to randomly shuffle cards back sometimes. Like, they're pretty neat. And honestly, there are decks that, like, totally dodge them. And the fact that, like, Fualos is deck or extra deck, and then Parulia is I think, just hand? Maybe hand or grave? And the last one that I forget, Meowfles? That's graveyard or banishment, I think, yeah. Like, that's good. Some decks don't do any of that. But if you act, like, Meowfles is a side deck card because, like, most decks don't summon from the graveyard. But God forbid your opponent's playing, like zombies or something? Woo, lordy, you're going to draw a lot of cards. But yeah, like, Sacred Waters is a cool concept, and it even does, like, my least favorite effect, which is the banish to replace effect. If you know, you would be destroyed by battle, banish instead. But only for Sanctuary of the Sky, so it's not even that good. It's like, you're trying, but this still doesn't, like, turn this deck into a cohesive strategy. And we mentioned this guy before, and I do want to bring this up because this art is sick. They did do another, like, one-off in Cyberstorm Axis. They did the dark version of Harvest. Harvest, you know, Angel of Death in the OCG, Harvest Angel of Doom in the TCG. They kept off the comma, by the way, to keep it consistent.
He's done with your shit.
I mean, he is, because he's going to be searching Horn of Heaven.
Yeah, this was what the card was talking about earlier. This Shitenshi, which is the normal summon is like gets Horn of Heaven, and the Pendulum effect gets Black Horn of Heaven because why not?
And he's still a Dark Fairy Pendulum. He's an 8 scale, so now you have a high scale to go with your Guiding Ariadne low scale. That's 3 to 8 is most of these guys. Like, it's not a couple of the big Parshats, but like, this is actually a way to get around the problem where you, like, need to summon a lot of guys. Well, you could pen summon instead. He's still 1800, which is not awful. And as mentioned before, his Pendulum effect is, during your main phase, destroy this card, add Black Horn of Heaven from your deck to your hand. You can use this effect once per turn. If this card's normal or Pendulum summoned, add a Horn of Heaven from your deck to your hand. If this card is tributed, put it in your pen zone. Each effect once per turn. So hypothetically, if you find a way to tribute this, because both effects are once per turn, you could normal, add Horn of Heaven, tribute him, put him in your pen zone, destroy him, add Black Horn of Heaven. Like, very, very solid stuff. This is, like, a good concept, and this was added in, what, Cyberstorm Access, I think? Yeah, so 2023, so it's been a couple of years. So, like...
Relatively new card.
Yeah. So, like, they're still thinking about counter fairies, because both the Horns of Heaven are counter trap cards.
And for what it's worth, this is a counter fairy card that I think slots well into the deck, because it facilitates getting counter traps that aren't just... You know, I don't like. It facilitates the game plan that isn't just like, oh, well, if you activate a counter trap, do more. Like, no, this gets you to your counter traps, which is kind of a problem. With like, there are still cards that do it, but there aren't that many cards that actively get you to your counter traps. It's just, well, you have them though. Like, it just a lot of the deck kind of assumes you already have them.
Yeah, so it's one of those cases where, like, It's a pretty good support card. It's not enough because it only names exactly 2 counter traps, one of which is not really good anymore. The regular Horn of Heaven is like tribute 1 monster to negate any summon, so you're going, like, you know, neg 1. Black Horn of Heaven is a card that's crazy good. If your opponent would special summon exactly 1 monster, negate and destroy it, brutal. Like, Black Horn of Heaven has torn up a lot of, like, limited and low rarity formats.
Black Horn of Heaven. Did they errata this? I swear I remember Black Horn of Heaven being able to stop a Pendulum summon.
They reworded it to I feel like to specify, but I think it's always been negate the summon of one of your opponent's monsters. They did add a errata specifically, like the second errata in Astro Pack 8. What year was that? 2015. So yeah, I think they did. It was never, I think, supposed to.
When your opponent would special summon yeah. So in Yuki's world,
Yeah, I see
when
it.
your opponent was special summon special summon a monster, which did allow for it to negate pendulum summons.
They
And Actually, when was Astral Pack 8?
2015.
Oh
So
no,
it
this
was,
is
it was
bubble
after.
for pendulum. So this was probably just
It's one of those cases where
oversight
like
from
the first errata in Yugi's world like had PCST, but then they later realized like, well, the original text is negate the special summon of one of your opponent's monsters and destroy it. It's supposed to be just one thing. When it showed up originally, it was just, pre-PCST. Even so, while it can't stop pendulum summons unless they pendulum for exactly one, Black Horn of Heaven, like I said, is still a mean-ass card in lots of limited formats, lots of low-rarity formats. It was a common in Astral Pack 8. It was a rare in Cyberdark Impact.
Oh.
It's a rare in Master Duel.
There actually was a brief year period of pendulum where Black Horn of Heaven did do that. That's why I'm remembering, because Astral Pack 8 was 2015. Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 started in early 2014. Arc 5 is 11 years old, guys.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, I think because last year was like 10th anniversary.
And then the main thing they did do is they do actually have a version that does stop that came out in Dimension of Chaos, like after they did the errata. That's Grand Horn of Heaven. Grand Horn is during your opponent's during your opponent's main phase, when they would special summon a monsters with the parenthetical, negate, destroy that monster. Your opponent then draws one card, then end the main phase. That card is brutal if you're doing a pendulum summon, because then it's like, oh, you're gonna pend 5? No. First of all, no. Second, destroy them. Third of all, do not pass go. Battle phase.
Grand Horn is one of those cards that was it was a very tricky side deck card. That, yeah, sure, your opponent draws a card, but actually in this point of Pendulum era, this card does just stop it. Yeah, they get a card, but they just lost 5 cards, and because they're being negated and destroyed, if I'm remembering right, because pendulums are really fucking dumb, I think Grand Horn, the negation and destroy does put them in the grave.
Yeah, I better say, I'm pretty sure they go to grave because they don't actually hit the board. They are the summon is negated, which means they are destroyed in the summon process. So yeah, that's 5 guys who go to graveyard.
It's the reason you can counter. It's the reason you can summon Jinzo.
Yeah,
because it is not resolved on board. It is in this it's like half an inch off to the board, but where the counter trap swats it out. My bad. Didn't mean to slap my hand.
It's fine. It's one of those things where this is one of those cases where Konami just tells you it works because they understand the realities of play of your opponent cannot show you that they are summoning a card, declare a summon, and then you negate without you knowing what's being summoned. So it's a process of I declare that I am summoning Jinzo, and your opponent goes, you have declared that you have summoned Jinzo. I negate that summon, kind of a thing. Same with pendulum summoning. You're I'm pendling 5. You're I negate that summon. You need to have that kind of acknowledgement of what your opponent is doing. Otherwise, you'd have to do this weird roulette shit where your opponent says, I summon, and you go, up. I negate that summon. And you're you don't even know what I'm summoning. I could say anything right now. That would be a way shittier game state.
What are you summoning? I summoned myself. Fuck you.
I negate your summon.
Yeah, no,
just fade away.
Giving your opponent's pendulum deck one card when you've just made them go -5 is probably worth it, especially if it means you're winning the game.
Yeah.
Because a big problem with pendulum decks really was just, you just can't get rid of them. These cards are always coming back no matter what. Because remember, before Lynx, pendulum just came back for free. There was no limitation to it.
That was our problem when we played actual Pend era with the Pend rules, was just we had to hit some decks because it was just no, if you just get set up pending 5 every turn, it's it doesn't stop. If you keep scales around, you just keep making these same guys over and over again.
My Dynamite deck was pretty brutal. With the Plezios, dumps. It was just a card. It was just a deck that was just I don't even think it didn't even like. I think it won a single week, and like it was just always a problem.
It was
Yeah, 'cause
always
it's
around
like-
there. I'm pretty sure I
Tempo-
ran Metal Foes through at some point.
It was one of those things where like it's like it didn't win you games, but it really annoyed the person you were fighting.
Yeah.
Well, because it's just like it's just so much
It's a
resource
tempo
to
thing.
chew through.
It's a tempo thing somewhat because
I know it got me several times, and I was like upset. I'm like, fuck
It's
this
hard
guy.
to find-
fuck-
it's hard to get a good middle ground for like Pen because it's like you let them just summon 5, or you reduce the spaces, and now you make it's only summon 1 unless you have like a link that does it, and so on. Is it because it's like it's hard to kind of balance out because they don't really get much. Pen gets way less. than Everything else does in like circulation nowadays.
This is why
It's
they
all
just
flat?
went. This is why they just went and just like fully overhauled Pendulum as a mechanic, because it really did just like. I wasn't even like disliked the idea of Pendulum, but good lord, if you met somebody who didn't like Pendulum, they let you know about it in that day.
Yeah, it's just it became a very contentious mechanic because it is just like a lot of extra greebles and wibbles. Like mechanically, could they go back to the old school like the pen zones are not spell trap zones? Probably. Like maybe not even the link thing from the extra deck because that just seems like that is a little better. But it's definitely like yeah, the Pendulum monsters didn't necessarily, or Pendulum as a deck didn't necessarily need that balanced out, but it is just a thing where it simplified the game state and makes it easier for people to wrap their heads around than just being like, well, what the fuck are these weird spaces off to the side? How do these work with our, game mats and shit?
Yeah, it was always kind of a problem with with it's one of those things where like balance wise they totally could just move the Pendulum zones back to being their own independent zones.
Yeah.
The problem is just the 2 decades of product that does not have that at this point, and also the decade of like the 8 years of product that now has Pendulum zones in the Spell and Trap zone. You're like all you have done now is just confused players who are getting back into the game. They're like, well, wait, like, but this has the Pendulum zones are right here. Well, not anymore though. Like, well, why does Matt say it's here though?
Yeah.
It's like
It's just one of those things. And I do want to say that, like,
It's different
honestly,
now.
they probably could go like the other way. Like they could leave the pen zones in the spell trap zones, and they could go to just you can special summon from extra deck as many as you want. You probably would still need to expand the FL list to match, just because I'm sure there are some old school ass like pen cards that would go crazy like that. But like, also honestly, I mean that would mean access code would have to go because it means that every single Pendulum deck would just put 4 guys in their extra deck, summon them out, make access code. But like, it could be done. It's just that I don't think Konami wants to do it because they know that there are so many players who are like virulently opposed to pendulums. So a lot of Pendulum decks kind of just end a little weird. They're doing better, like Errata-ing Plushfire and like a lot of new Performage stuff gives them like some pretty tight loops and like you can do some very funny stuff with like Zark.
I don't even think you Pendulum that much of the new DD.
I mean, several of them are Pendulum cards. It's hard to tell because like all of the art on like YG Organization is like cropped screen caps, but like I feel like 3 or 4 of them are Pendulums. And like some of them do actually do the funny thing of like, yeah, put this card in your Pendulum zone. But the main thing is that DDD is fairly unique because it does not necessarily need to Pendulum summon. It can do that. But it mostly uses its guys in Pendulum zones as just extra resource loops, you know? Like just extra back row shit. So it's pretty good. But we've been going for a little over 3 hours. We've talked about that's Airknight Parshath. Don't know exactly what we'll do next week. I don't remember what the next structure deck is, but we'll figure it out. And like I said, once they're actually done revealing them all, we'll need to book some time to talk about the Final Fantasy Magic cards just because they're cool.
Oh, we could also just do Dark Lord.
We just what?
What?
We could just do Dark Lords. Just the other end of the spectrum.
We could do Dark Lords, yeah. Actually, we could do that next week.
Dark Lord would be fun.
Those are because Dark Lord's another deck that's like been like kind of good, but mostly bad, but funny for a while.
Yeah, Dark Lord in the same vein of Counter Fairies has always just been this like deck right on like it's like this like tier 2.5 deck that's always just been like a factor in a lot of like odd formats as this pseudo rogue strat that can just steal games because it plays on such a bizarre axis that if some players just haven't ran into it before.
Yeah, if you've never seen somebody summon giant level like 8 or 10 dark fairies, and you're just like,
I forget all the names.
Yeah, I know. They've got some funny names that we can talk about too. Yeah, so next week we'll do Dark Lords. That's a good matchup. Because it is one of those decks that, like, as a concept, Dark Lords have been around for a long, long time. We literally just talked about Dark Lord Zerato, right? But it's like,
yeah,
they weren't a unified deck until much later, so it's very similar to this, where...
Isn't Dark Lord just like Fallen Angel?
Yes, Dark
right?
Lord is just how the TCG chooses to do Fallen Angel, which is why they're all
Yeah.
Dark Fairies. Which also, by the way, I'll probably say it again next week when we do them, but I do love when Yu-Gi-Oh! Gets to do cute typings like that, where they're just like, yeah, Dark Fairy, Dark Angel. You're like, neat. And I don't actually know exactly what they mean by that with the Fiendsmith for him being a light fiend, but it's funny.
The light fiend just means he is the devil man. He's the devil who will kill all the other devils.
I am actually pretty sure that is what it's supposed to be, yes, because I think, I'm not sure, but I think Fiendsmith is just Devil May Cry.
I think he really is just Porta. Not even
Like-
Porta.
Yeah, because he's like, he has like a weird guitar coffin piano machine that
Yeah,
he
he's
uses to turn
out
into
there,
cool
alright.
demon guys. Like, yeah, he's got a red coat. We keep making references to Mozart. Like, we're doing something here. But yeah,
Is it
and
right?
we'll probably have to talk about the Fiend Schmitz at some point. Lacrimosa, Requiem, Desiree. Yeah, it's Oops All Mozart.
There's also like, he also just has a demoness as his familiar.
Well, yeah, but it's
Kind
like I said, Lacrima, as you know.
Yeah, we'll get there.
This thing. But we'll talk. It's kind of weird because like Fiend. Too, before we leave, I'll leave you with this thought, chat. It is very interesting to think about something like Counter Fairies, where like that's not an archetype because it's not like unified by any names other than
But it could be
mentioning
unified
Sanctuary
with
in the
some cards.
Sky, or there's like one card that searches Parshath. But there's a lot of Counter Fairy cards you can build a deck out of. Whereas something like Fiendsmith is clearly an archetype that like searches and references itself, but there are so few names that I don't think you can run a pure Fiendsmith deck. I literally don't think there are enough names, especially because Lacrima did get or Desiree. Was it Desiree? One of the fusions got banned already.
It got
so like
some got like limited in a band, yeah.
yeah, one of them's already hit. So like you can't
sure it
really
was
run a
Lacrima,
full
wasn't
deck
it?
that way. Yeah, I think it was Lacrima. Was the small fusion, and then there's the Lady Lacrimosa, Desiree, and all that stuff. But yeah, it's one of those weird cases where like. It's very interesting how Konami clearly designed the Fiendsmith deck to, like, just slot in with any light fiend. I don't know if they specifically thought of, like, Fabled Lurie, but, like, they were like, no, this is an
funny,
engine.
though.
Oh, it's absolutely hilarious that, like, this pack filler common is, like, the best search target for Fiendsmith Tract. Discards Fiendsmith, add Tract, activate Tract, add Lurie, discard Lurie, summon Lurie. Oh, so apparently you did win a series a week with Dynamists.
Wahoo!
There were a couple of Dynamist wins apparently back in the day. Yeah, Dynamist was a killer deck because that was talking about low rarity decks. But yes,
Yeah, well, I mean, it was low rarity deck. I want to say like the only high rarity card was Rex. It was a super, so I think I was able to get the playset pretty easily because it was it was guaranteed hollows at that point.
Yeah,
And
so it's
you
like,
didn't even, Rex wasn't even really like a big powerhouse. It was just a guy you played that sometimes you ran into. For the most part, I was just playing a very low to the ground like Dynamist combo shenanigans with
it's been a while since we
Plezios.
talked about Dynamist, but I think the way it worked with with Rex and Spinos is just that they're just like, yeah, sometimes if you make Rex or Spinos, you just win the game. Like the game's just over if your opponent doesn't stop you. Whoops.
Yeah. I know I had an obsession with trying to get the water like Chaotic Seasons to work in that deck. I got it a few times, but I never was like consistent. It's
It
very
was a rough
silly.
one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always a funny thing, though, like I
Wasn't
said, to
easy.
finish up, talking about, like, Konami will sometimes just design decks as engines, and then other decks are like, no, this is a whole-ass deck you gotta play. And I don't remember exactly, I think Dark Lord starts as, like, a weird package, and then turns into its own deck, but then I feel like kind of wraps around into becoming a weird package because it's just a deck full of big dark element guys.
From what I remember, I think Dark Lord was just like, oh, we just like made a card that was called Fallen Angel, like it was like Mary or something. It was like Dark Lord Mary was just like, oh, this card just was like released forever early on,
Yes, yeah,
and
she's
then
a super early card.
slowly just became an archetype because Fallen Angel is
How
I guess they thought it was a cool phrase.
how old was Dark Lord Superbia?
Dark Lord Mary was
Superbia?
definitely the first one. Like
Yeah,
Dark Lord-
Fallen Angel Mary is like,
Dark Lord Mary is 2003 Labyrinth of Nightmare.
yeah, that's like set
Yeah.
number 4. Superbia
Yeah, far,
is like
far and away.
GX, I think.
Yeah, he was one of the early ones from memory.
GX. I'm seeing Tag Force Evolution promotional cards,
Ooh, yeah,
which was
okay,
2007.
Yeah, so that's
Uh,
like
Oh, it's on like Monarch time.
Oh, do you want to know what card was in the Tag Force bundle?
oh, what was it?
What?
Reficule.
What?
Of course.
Dark Lord Nurse Reficule.
Oh.
Yeah, cuz
Right.
Nurse Burn, which was also a GX anime thing.
Yep.
So, yeah,
GX Volume 5
it's-
promotional card.
It's a very interesting
Dark-
space
yeah.
where like they're Dark Lords and like cards called Dark Lord are very old, but like they're gonna be through several evolutions. Also means we get to talk about Nurse Burn,
It's
which is
why
a
I
very
think like they
very
could honestly.
funny like meta pick.
It's why I honestly think they could just make cards that like unite all the counter traps, at least counter traps together.
Yeah, so it looks like Desiree was also a promotional card. It was in Legendary. Oh my, Legendary Collection 2. So 220. 2011 was when it hit. So like it was just a handful of just random little cards that like were just slowly popping up into existence. And then at some point they said full archetype.
So that'll be fun. We'll be back with that probably next week. We'll get on out of here, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be doing something in Final Fantasy 14 tomorrow. It'll be the Make It Rain campaign has started, so I don't know if we'll actually do anything in the Gold Saucer. Yes.
I think it's time we do the slices right because we've been practicing so much with towers.
Yeah, we'll see if we do that on stream. Anyway,
Oh,
good night,
God.
everybody.